Welcome to Scorched Earth and your general week ahead reading for the week of the 31st of May to the 6th of June. I hope you well. Concentrating on getting my dates right this time. We're using the wild unknown for you today. By the time you watch this, Mercury retrograde will have begun properly. Starts the 29th of May. And we'll run till the 22nd of June, just as a, sort of brief overview. Because it's in Gemini, we can expect what is the normal state of Mercury retrograde involving things like miscommunications and stuff like that to be up a height, actually, this period, this 3 weeks that we're working with here. So as general advice, I would say try and approach every situation with compassion. You will probably find it quite difficult to articulate what it is that you mean properly about something, and equally other people will too. So try not to read too much into what is said at this time, if you possibly can. We can also expect, the usual travel mishaps if you have contracts that you have to sign. If there's any way of putting them off, that would be the optimal solution. But if you can't, make sure that you double check and triple check and possibly get another set of eyes over it. Make sure that you really understand what it is that you are committing yourself to at this time, because something might come back and bite you a bit later if you are a little flippant with it. So what else? Oh, technological mishaps are common at this time too. The energy of the retrograde really is reflection and completion, right? It's a good time to finish things that you've already started. It's not such a good time to start new things. So I'll just pop another one of these in here. It's down already. It's not scary, but it is sort of stopping you from moving forwards too much. Tidy up what's already been before. That's the general energy of this. So, and stop throwing cards everywhere. Let's get stuck into this. If you haven't seen these videos before, what I do is I start off with a theme for the week, and then I pull a couple of cards to show the best way to navigate that energy for this week. Then we move on to love and interpersonal relationships, and we'll go to, just give it a minute for the cauldron to burn down. Then we'll move on to work, money and material environment, and then from there we'll go to kind of do this, don't do this, do this, don't do that. What should be your point of focus for the week, and what should, if at all possible, you should kind of swerve, try and avoid doing. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sure it does. It's pretty straightforward. So we're going to start with Aries, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. Can I have a theme for the week for Aries, please? We have two. We have the Four of Pentacles and we have the Four of Swords in reverse. So interestingly, with the Nine of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck here, double four is quite foundational. Well, it's foundational level energy. We're talking about things this week that really run to the core of you, and I think that it's possible that you might see this week those things that you have really been holding on to too tightly. Now, that's the message of the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Swords talks about inaction. It talks about pausing and reflecting. It follows on from the Three of Swords, so it's often given to incorporate themes of restoration and healing too, because it's that move on there. But it also talks about, taking a step back, an objective step back. Now, the fact that it came out in the reverse for you, I think that this is a week where you start moving on those things that you have identified that you are holding on too tightly to. I have a couple of cards for navigate. Well, there we go. So we've got the Three of Swords and we also have the King of Pentacles as well. We have the Tower at the bottom of the deck. Do I want to pull one more? Do I want to pull one more? No, we're going to stick with the 2. The 3 of Swords is wounding and heartbreak and pain. And it's possible that it might have come at the hands of, you know, a significant male in your life or a significant earth sign in your life. But I think more than that, it's actually looking at the things that you have taken responsibility for that you didn't need to, Aries. That's very, very common in situations where you have been wounded by something. You know, sometimes if we haven't quite understood the lesson as it's presented, we internalize it and we make it something that it's not. And I think this week you identify those bits of your life where that has been the case here. We've got the Tower at the bottom of the deck, interestingly enough. And although it's quite a dramatic card, it feels like a big internal shift for you more than anything else, right? It's a last tower that needs to come down. When we combine it here with the 9 of Pentacles, because I see the Pentacles as good resource management, energetic resource management often. No, hang on, I just totally jumped over it. I see the Pentacles as energetic currency. So then the 9 of Pentacles becomes good energetic management, like where you put your energy and how you put it into the right places for you. Now, I think some of you have been spreading yourselves a little bit too thin recently, and I think that you see that now. You've tried to be all things to all people, and I think this is a week where something gives, right, in the whole situation, because it's actually been untenable and unsustainable for quite a long time. The Tower is that thing falling, but it doesn't feel like it's dramatic and awful. That's what I was kind of getting at here. It actually feels like it's liberating for you. And it feels like it's giving you space to work on your own things. There's movement here. Although there aren't any cards other than the Tower that really speak of it. I remember the 4 of Swords somewhat. It does feel like something's breaking through this week for you, Aries. Let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships, because I suspect this is probably where you're going to see the biggest movement this week. So tell me about love and interpersonal relationships for Aries, please. Thank you. We have the King of Wands. Well, there's a card of movement right there. It's the card of Leo. And there's the 2 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So it does feel like you are pulling yourself to a point where you make active decisions about something this week. You could be dealing with a Leo or another fire sign, or this actually could just be you. This could be you going, I know the way forwards now. I know what I'm going to do. And rather than just mulling on it internally, this is a week where I'm actually going to make some changes, because that seems to be the underlying theme of the cards that are coming out for you here, is you making changes. So yeah. We've got the Knight of Pentacles and we've got the 6 of Wands. It's understanding where your energy is going and where it shouldn't be going, frankly. You know, what it is that you've been concentrating on, holding on too tightly to, you know, all of these sorts of things, and what actually is a better use of your time and energy. You know, love, care, all of those sorts of things. It's also the card of Virgo, so you might be dealing with a Virgo, but I actually feel like this is very much your energy, because we've got this positioning and symbolism like replicated across, right? Both of them sitting on horses, trotting in a direction. For you, identifying what is important this week will see you moving towards success. I said that there's so much movement happening here in your emotional space, in your relationship spaces with other people. It could be that, like I said, this Tower energy hits, and in fact we've got that, you know, that lightning bolt there striking. Epiphany stuff. I mean, but then you in some way changing the way that you have been doing things recently into something much more successful for you. But the Knight of Pentacles for me is very much deals with understanding the value of something and then putting that front and centre and trotting off in that way. And with this Six of Wands coming directly after it, these changes that you are choosing to make this week are going to benefit you very well. For some of you, that might actually involve moving away from a person, right? Just picking yourself up and going, actually, I'm kind of done with this. But I'm not feeling a great amount of drama associated with that, right? The underlying energy that may have caused you to come to the epiphany this week might feel quite dramatic. But in reality, the movement that you make is actually quite subtle. But the right one for you. It's really a week for trusting your gut, trusting your intuition when it comes to the people around you. Let's have a look at work, money and material environment, please. Ooh, we have the Devil. Card of Capricorn in the Major Arcana. It does cover all those things that are material, right? Everything in the material realm is the purview of the Devil. Let's have a couple of clarifiers for that, please. Yeah, we'll have the Tower and the Ten of Swords. So it could well be that part of this Tower moment for you is realizing that maybe some of the decisions that you have made have been a little less to do with the relationships themselves and more to do with the way in which it will compromise your material safety, should you choose to do it. Like the Ten of Swords and the Tower are both quite uncomfortable energies there, but they also do speak about something ending. Right? There's completion implied here with the Ten of Swords, an end to something that has been quite difficult, whether this is a work situation or your home situation. You know, it could be that if this relates to work specifically for you, or money and finances and stuff like that, it could be that you've been resistant to making changes to your working environment because you know you're going to take a hit in some sort of way. But it feels like the balance has finally tilted to the degree that if you don't make this change, you know that you're going to struggle and suffer in other ways. And actually, that's more important to you now than the hit you might take financially. But there's definitely a feeling of stuckness here in the material environment that breaks through this week. And like I said, it's possibly not comfortable for you, but it needs to happen. When the Tower comes in, there's always an element of it having needed to happen. It's a course correction in some ways, well, in all ways actually. And once the rubble from the Tower has finally settled and there's, you know, the dust cloud has lifted and things, you know, find actually that there are opportunities here for you that you did not see when the Tower was in its erected state. We have got the Five of Pentacles, the Five of Cups. Five of Cups, the Tower, and the Ace of Pentacles here. So there is opportunity to be found in the rubble, and it's really let the Tower happen this week. And I do feel like it's very much connected to your intuition. If there's been some sort of rising feeling in you that perhaps you need to effect some sort of change, you need to move away from something, this week it's going to be a week of making it happen rather than just thinking about it. In fact, this whole reading is speaking about this being active movement this week, because I felt like you've been ruminating on this for a little while, but it maybe was that you weren't quite uncomfortable enough to make the changes this week. There are changes happening everywhere, and they are for the better, even though they're going to feel slightly dramatic at the time. So let's have a look and see what you should be focusing on, please. What's Aries be focusing on this week? Thank you. Daughter of Pentacles. Right? That's the Page of Pentacles in the standard deck. It is a week for working out what is important to you, first and foremost. And then holding that value up above your head, you know, using that in some ways to light the way in front of you. You know, in the Daughter of Pentacles card, most of it is monochrome, bar this rainbow over the top of the head. Now, when do rainbows come? You know, when you've got the sun and the rain coming at the same time, it's the rainbow after the storm, something like that. It's like maintaining hope in things, but sticking your pentacle right in the middle of that rainbow there. This is what is important to me. These are my hopes. This is the way that I'm going to shift this week. And even though everything is quite monochrome underneath me, you know, maintaining the faith that things are going to get better. It is also the card of a new start for me. So, ooh, yeah. We've got the Seven of Cups and we've got the Moon, clarifying those. With the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck, and I have felt that intuitive energy coming through for you this week, Aries. Things are going to be a bit confusing. And you're going to have some emotional reactions that I think that you're not quite sure what to do with, but the message is to stick with those, because there is gold there in the confusion, in the chaos. There's a lot of chaos here, actually. If you can try and keep yourself level and try not to turn away from things that rise up internally, try and engage with those this week, because, like I said, there's gold in there for you. There's something really useful for you to learn this week about yourself. In fact, this whole reading is very much about you. It's very little about what's going on with you, more the way that you are reacting or choosing to act with everything that is going on. And that's, ultimately, that's the ideal. That's what we want you to be focusing on. What should Aries avoid this week, please? Thank you. The High Priestess. That's interesting. Why should Aries avoid the High Priestess? And the Page of Cups. We've got the High Priestess with the Page of Cups and the Seven of Wands, and it's almost like there's a really strong possibility, should you choose to go that way. Oh no, here we go. Right, so it's about passivity, right? What you should avoid this week is doing more of what you have been doing so far, right? We've established that you've been in quite a reflective frame of mind. You've thought about things an awful lot. And like I said, there's been this kind of scales. This is not a week for sitting still, Aries. And by sitting still, I mean in terms of what is going on within you, but also how you approach what is going on outside of you too. There could be quite a strong temptation to just sort of let everything happen around you. And it seems to me like you're being asked to play a very active role in what is going on this week, particularly when it comes to things like decisions that need to be made. But like I said, there would be quite a strong temptation to sit passively. You've got both of these cards have an element of sitting passively and just accepting things as they are, and then using it as a stick to beat yourself with. Like, that's not the energy that you want to be sitting in this week. This week, it's about really actively engaging with what is going on inside of you, what the reactions are. You know, what are you reacting to? Are you actually reacting to that thing, or are you reacting to something else? You know, it's all about activity this week. Don't sit around and let things happen and then just, you know, respond to them later, because I feel like you've been doing the groundwork for quite a long time. good couple of weeks or so, well, probably fucking months probably. This has been building to a point now, and this week it's kind of like crunch point. You could miss opportunities. It's the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck there. You could miss opportunities to make things significantly better for yourself if you don't actively engage with your internal space, your own energies, all of those kind of things. You know, if you just let things happen around you and go, well, that's all fucked, isn't it? Then you're going to struggle to find the opportunity that is existing there within it, because it is. It's definitely there for you. Sorry, that was a bit vague, but I think if this reading resonates with you, like, well, obviously if it resonates with you, you're going to understand what I'm going on about. But it feels like you've been quite withdrawn of late, Aries, and there's been a lot of things that you've been rolling around in your head, and you've kind of come to a number of vague conclusions about things, like, if stuff gets any worse, then I might do X, Y, and Z. This week, you've had the Tower appear twice in your reading there. It seems like this is the week where things happen, and it is for you to engage with that process so that you get an opportunity to see the potential, right? Or to start really affecting those new starts and those changes that you have been contemplating for quite a while. So let's move on to Taurus. Could I have a theme for the week for Taurus, please? Oh, we have two cards for you as well. We have the Three of Pentacles and we have the Four of Wands. What a beautiful set of cards there. The Three of Pentacles is a card of cooperation and collaboration, but it is also a card of building, and I like very much that it's showing up here because it's showing up with the Four of Wands, which is the creation of a new foundation. There is kind of building implied there too. It is also a card that deals with the home, and I mean that in any sense that the home applies to you. So it could be your four walls, but more likely it is, you know, the people that you surround yourself with. It is all of those broader, more abstract feelings that we associate with home rather than the four walls itself. Now, being preceded by the Three of Pentacles, it seems like other people are going to be really quite important to you this week. And by other people, I mean your tribe. I mean those people that feel like home to you. Tell me about it. We have the Five of Wands and we have the Four of Swords. Yes, thank you. So we have this Five of Wands, which is indicative often of conflict. It can be competition, but I'm not feeling a competition vibe here. It feels like low-level conflict. With the Four of Swords, kind of you pulling away from this. And then we have the Seven of Wands to protect yourself. So actually, I'm going to kind of revert the interpretation that I want to apply here, because with the more information, it seems like actually you might be pulling away slightly this week from people that you have been building something with. Perhaps because there's some feeling of conflict. Maybe people are just starting to rub each other up the wrong way. Maybe Mercury retrograde is playing a part in this, and actually people are saying things that they don't mean. They're not actually expressing themselves terribly well. But it seems like you're kind of pulling yourself back in a protective motion to de-escalate, possibly, but also to keep you peaceful, you know. It could well be that with your newfound sense of self, what's going on here is that you're picking up the red flags, and rather than being the referee for things, rather than trying to wade in and make everybody be harmonious, you're sort of allowing it to play out as it needs to, but having the wisdom to withdraw yourself from the situation first, rather than letting yourself get wound up with what's going on. And I like that for you, Taurus, because you can't fix everything. Even though it feels like you should be able to at times, you can't fix everything. And putting yourself first, which is seemingly what's going on here, is a good move when you are aware that possibly engaging with this situation is going to take that peace away from you just for a little while, right? So let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships. Oh, we've got 2. No, we've got 3. Goodness. Oh. Yeah, so we've got the 5 of Swords, we've got the 4 of Pentacles, and we've got the 10 of Pentacles here. It does feel a little bit like communication is difficult this week. It actually feels very strongly like the retrograde energy is specifically affecting you quite hard, or at least the people around you. Because we have the 10 of Pentacles, and that can also indicate home. It can also speak about, you know, our working environment and stuff like that, you know, if you run a business or your place of work. Family, possibly. It looks like there's the possibility of miscommunication between you and family this week. Tell me about this 4 of Pentacles, please. We've got the 9 of Pentacles, and we've got the Queen of Cups, but she's in reverse, and we have the 7 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, it seems very, very likely that for some reason that aspect of the miscommunication is really hitting you hard this week, Taurus. And it does look like it's either with close work colleagues, people that you work with, or it's with family or very close friends, you know, an inner circle of friends. It seems a little bit like people are impatient this week, a little bit cranky, actually. It feels like the compassion has just sort of disappeared out of relations this week. It's the Queen of Cups in reverse she speaks of compassion and openness and, you know, emotional availability. And it feels like everybody, for some reason, is just appears to be kind of clamping shut or holding opinions that don't seem to be coming from a place of compassion and love. And with this 9 of Pentacles here, I think pulling yourself away from that, being more about the you this week, kind of protecting your own peace, is more important than trying to pour oil on these troubled waters, because it doesn't feel like your interjection or your interaction with this situation is going to make anything better this week. It's probably one of those things that you've just got to let ride out a little bit. And the way that you help that situation is by not adding to it, by saying something that will be misunderstood by someone, or not giving yourself an opportunity to be open to somebody else miscommunicating something to you, you know, not articulating properly what they mean, and then, you know, hurting you or wrecking your peace for this week. So maybe a good week for meditation, putting a bit of space between you and other people, a bit of breathing room, you know. Busy yourself with something else, because everybody feels cranky, everybody feels very short-tempered and a little bit more inclined to say things that they don't really mean. Like, there might be a nugget of truth in what they're saying, but they're certainly not delivering it kindly. Whew. Right, tell me about work, money and material environment, please. Oh, another 2 cards there. We have the Sun and we have the Son of Wands. It's amazing. So that's Leo and Sagittarius energy, respectively. And both very, very good cards. The Sun's the most positive card in the deck. You know, it literally radiates joy. Something's going very, very well for you in your material environment this week. You know, it could be a long-awaited promotion. It could be, you know, getting recognition, actually. It could see you really shining at work, like shining with the light of the sun, but certainly very visible. And this Knight of Wands here. Tell me about these 2 cards. I don't know about these 2 cards. Oh, we have the 10 of Cups, which is interesting. Oh, and that one there, and 2 of Pentacles, and 3 of Wands, Queen of Wands. Yeah, the visibility is off the charts this week, Taurus. Now, we've got the 9 of we've got the 9 of Cups at the bottom of the deck here, right? This is your personal fulfillment, right? This is things that make you feel good inside. It seems like this week something's happening. It feels like there's an opportunity that arises and you see it and you take it. But I wonder if part of this is actually sowing, reaping the rewards of something that you've sown here. Because we do have that 3 of Wands, we do have the way that you have been doing something has drawn attention to you. We see that both with the Sun and with the Queen of Wands, right? Attention being drawn to you. We've got opportunities being taken by you because of this Knight of Wands. But I do feel like because you got your head straight about something and you saw what was needed, what was important, you started sowing those seeds a lot earlier. And as a result, everybody is looking at you. It could be that there's, you know, you've pulled off getting some big client in or something like that. Or, you know, you dealt with a customer in a really sterling way and then you've ended up getting, you know, some sort of like recognition on a review website or something like that. But this week you are seen, very, very strongly seen, and appropriately seen, because you've put in a lot of effort into something, and everybody is recognizing it. Like something that you have done has benefited the collective really strongly, and this is a week where you're going to get recognition for that, and it's going to feel glorious. Just that the sun rays around everything, just the colors on the cards everywhere, really, really strong. This is nice. You know, if you work for yourself, you could have pulled off something really quite awesome in that regard. And if you don't work, it could be some sort of project that you've been, you know, that's been occupying your time, maybe writing or something like that, you know, something actually internet-based. I don't know where that's coming from, but it feels like internet-based. Maybe you're recording videos for something. Like people are seeing you, and what you are doing is being very, very well received by the collective. Feels really nice. It's really, really nice. Certainly is going to mitigate this energy here that is difficult for you. Whenever we've got things to do with home for Taurus, it's always significant in the Taurian mindset, but it looks like where things are difficult on one side, they might actually be really glorious on the other, and so you can kind of keep it balanced out. Keep your emotional state at least balanced out. What should Taurus be focusing on this week? Daughter of Wands, more wand energy. There's a lot of wand energy around you this week, Taurus. So don't cancel this very often, but really staying positive, staying focused on what you are doing. Okay? It's maybe not giving your mind an opportunity to get in and start, you know, trying to sabotage things for you. It's like keep the goal in mind and keep actively working towards it. Yeah, oh, that's really interesting. The same combination of cards came out for Aries here. Like we've got the Knight of Pentacles there, that Virgo energy, but also the 6 of Wands, which is a card of success. This week, keep plodding on towards what it is that you are, you know, what it is that you've been working on, whether that is employment or whether it is what you are just putting your energy into. Because for all this week is really, really good, you can make it even better. Right? I'm going to talk about Taurus being the epitome of delayed gratification. And that's because you have that ability to know that if you plant a thing back here, you know, in X amount of time, it's going to bloom into something really useful. But you also have that patience that is needed to make this happen. Well, you're getting some really good feedback this week. Don't get distracted though. Keep plodding forwards, because you can do even better, actually. You can build on your own success here in a really beautiful way. What should Taurus avoid this week, please? We have the Star. That's interesting. Fuck. Tell me about the Star, please. With the Four of Cups and the Four of Wands in reverse. How interesting. I think this is asking you not to be complacent, Taurus. I mean, not to let you get a little bit too content with having reached where you feel is the pinnacle of things. You know, when we talk about the start, we're also talking about that level of visibility. I think it's kind of asking you not to let your success go to your head this week, Taurus. It's like, keep your head down, keep plodding on the path that you've picked for yourself. But also, don't allow yourself to slip into a mindset of feeling like you are being pushed out and in some way kind of abandoned by your family. Like, we've got this notions of home coming in all over here. And the Four of Cups can talk about being taken for granted. It can talk about feeling a bit resentful about things. And this Four of Wands could well talk to feeling like everything in your home environment is kind of fucked. And so, like, it's like, don't engage too much with that this week, because if you do, I feel like you're probably going to end up feeling like this, and that's not what it is here. Like, there's some really challenging stuff going on here, and there's some really amazing stuff, and you need to occupy the space in between. Yeah. And if you let this go to your head a little bit too much, that's kind of asking for a kneecapping a bit further down the road. But if you engage too heavily with this stuff over here, you're going to end up feeling really, really quite crappy this week. So focus on this, but keep your head down, keep looking towards that goal, keep looking to build on your success. Don't become complacent. And all of this stuff will just sort of come out in the wash, Taurus. That's how that feels. Okay. Right. Let's move on. To Gemini, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. Can I have a theme for the week for Gemini, please? Thank you. We have the Temperance card. That's the card of Sagittarius. It talks about balance. It talks about healing. It talks about a kind of sense of peace, right? It can also talk about divine guidance and divine timing, actually. Let's have a look and see what the other cards are saying. Work out which way around we're going here. We have the Magician, which is your card there, and we have the Queen of Wands. So interesting. Certainly this idea of internal peace and harmony is coming through quite strong for you, Gemini, but it feels like you've come through feeling like things have been quite rocky for you recently, and that there's been some fog. There's been some real fog with things. It seems like you're coming to the other side of that now. And what's happened in during that time, although it's, you know, it often feels like it's wasted time when we're all foggy and confused and things like that, but actually there's been something really important going on underneath here for you. It's possible that you've been dealing with some big themes of you know, past hurts and wounds and stuff like that, which you are now understanding is what has possibly contributed to the fog. Now you can see a bit more clearly. You understand what it is that you need to do about it. But this Magician it's a really powerful presentation right here. Like being you this week is really, really important. But it doesn't feel to me as much like you're feeling the intensity of Mercury retrograde quite as much as I would expect you to, because it's in your sign. And I wonder why that is. We've got the Queen of Wands, so we have you kind of coming back out of yourself, like achieving a level of visibility again. But there's also a distinct amount of confidence in the decisions that you have made for yourself this week, or even what it is that you are setting your intent to, what it is that you're wanting to bring forwards for yourself this week. I was expecting there to be more confusion here, but actually it seems like quite the reverse. It seems like you've really honed down to a very fine point what it is that you want, and what it is that you've decided that you will do. I don't quite see the movement yet, but the intent is strong, very, very strong. The aura around this Magician is dancing around in front of me, interestingly. You feel like you've powered up somehow, Gemini. This is quite the reverse of what I was expecting for you, with the retrograde energy in play. But it's like, you feel really powerful to me this week. Let's have a look at love and general interpersonal relationships for Gemini, please. Thank you. We have the Eight of Swords and we have the Seven of Cups. I wonder if this is the fog that you've been coming out of here, Gemini. Because the Eight of Swords is that card of restriction, and specifically it's a card of mental restriction. And with the Seven of Cups here, we have it having an emotional component, right? So that's emotional confusion. Being stuck and not knowing what to do about something, not knowing what you think about something, or perhaps the things that you think being what is keeping you trapped. We have Judgment and we have the World. So, the Judgment card is pretty on point with the retrograde energy here, because it does talk about the resurrection of the old, and it is specifically for you with a view to bringing completion to it. So it could be that you see the return of someone who at some point in the past had you emotionally confused and had you, kind of stuck in your own head about something. Or it could be just that for whatever reason, something this week reminds you of a situation where you felt like that. And it's interesting that you'd be coming from this point of healing, be coming from this point of power and confidence, and then to be hit with this old situation, whether it is by your memory or, just being reminded of something. We've got the Six of Cups there. It's definitely somebody from the past or a situation from your past, maybe even your childhood, something like that. A reminder of a time where you did not feel exactly as you are feeling right now. It seems like from this really strong, empowered place that you're at the moment, this week is a week where you are able to really hit this head on, right? Come at it with a proper judgment. Not one where you're feeling disempowered or emotionally confused or restricted, not knowing which way to turn, It feels like those two cards there are speaking specifically to an old situation. And with these two major arcana cards here, Judgment and the World, they're consecutive cards. So this is the resurrection of things, right? So that you have a chance to look at them properly. And this is closing them out. This is the end of a major cycle for you. And it could be that this person, or the memory of this person, we could be going back a very, very long time. And it just suddenly pops up. You run into them in the supermarket, or you speak to a friend and they say, oh, you never guess who I saw the other day, you know, and then suddenly all of those feelings kind of resurface. But because you're in such a strong place, you can go, oh, actually, right, let's have a look at this, see how I feel about this. And you can do all of this work without coming within 100 miles of this person, because you're working with your approach to it, you know. So let's have a look at work and money and material environment for you, Gemini. We have another 2 cards. We have the 9 of Cups and the 10 of Cups together. Wow. Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Whatever's going on with you materially at the moment, and by that I mean either in work or what it is that you are devoting yourself to, what you are working on, it's not only this week making you feel really good, but there's a collective element to this, right? Others are getting the benefit of it too. Maybe even adding something to this for you. In the 9 of Cups, you know, we have those 9 cups and they're all just placed individually there. That is you. That is your emotional well-being, and it's very good with regard to this week. But then we have the 10 cups, and look at the way that they're connected here, right? It's almost like the collective around you give you the way of connecting all of these cups up, right? Maybe it is you feeling connected to other people through what it is that you're working on. So that's 9 and 10 of Cups. Got the 10 of Cups again. And we've got the Page of Swords. One more for that, please. Oh, and we got 2. We got the 4 of Cups in reverse, and we also got the 9 of Pentacles. We've got the 3 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. I feel that this, whether it is your work environment or it's something that you've been working on, I think this is something that has been difficult for you. I think it's been really difficult, and perhaps challenged you on a level that isn't really obvious to other people. It could be that you've had to really slug away at this, and you've seen very little in the way of return for quite a long time, and it's been a case of like holding the faith. But in the meantime, you've been struggling with, you know, these perhaps imposter syndrome or something like that, you know, feelings of not being good enough, you know, and you've had to wrestle with all of these things before you start to see very slowly the results of your energetic investment starting to come back towards you. Now, you've got this 10 of Cups here. You are surrounded by people who are kind of looking at whatever it is that you've been working on and seeing the benefit of it. And I think that this week you will have people noticing what a good job you've been doing here. The reason that I say that is because we've got this Page of Swords here. It might not be that anything particularly changes externally for you this week, Gemini, but what we've got is a slight change of perspective going on from you. And maybe it is because people are engaging with you about it, you know, oh, tell me what it is that you're working on. You know, maybe they're starting to see what it is that you're working on, because now it's getting to a level of being built. It's perceptible, and it feels like it changes your perspective on this, on the way that you have been struggling with this, because I actually see now like a sense of gratitude really coming in very, very strongly with this new perspective that's coming in, and a resurgence of, oh, that was my ankle, fucking hell, a resurgence of commitment from you to this. But I think the really important part of it is that other people haven't realised quite what demons you've been battling in doing what it is that you're doing, and having to trudge away at it so hard with very little result, or little tangible result at least. But having dealt with these, which I do feel very strongly that you have now, Gemini, you've made a bit of space in yourself to actually enjoy the journey. Yeah, here's what it is. There's more of a sense of enjoying the journey. There's a removal of expectation of result or a need for result, or, you know, validation by result. That's how this feels. It's like, that feels like it's the way that your thinking is being tweaked on this, and instead there's a sense of gratitude that you get to be on this journey at all, because it's kind of cool, and that possibly there may have been things that you hadn't quite picked up on along the way. Sometimes it's very easy to get pulled down with a sense of expectation, right? So I plow everything that I have into this, and then I get, you know, some very small little sludgy thing in return, you know, and it's not commensurate with the amount of energy that I put in. But it feels like the groundwork that's been going on, Gemini, has been very much inside you, and that has put you in a very powerful place, actually. Very, very powerful place with this Magician and the Queen of Wands here. It's hugely important. The Temperance card is shifting to me as well, because I am feeling that sense of healing. I'm feeling that sense of you coming out of the fog, but I am also feeling a sense of you having been guided into the fog. And while you may have felt alone, and while you may not have shared the extent to which you have been struggling with other people, you have been attended. There has been a presence there with you, whether you've noticed it or not, and they've been sat patiently with you while you've been working through all of this stuff. And as you're popping out the other side of this, I do feel like this reinvigoration of commitment and desire to invest more into this. It's almost like whatever you've been doing, although you didn't see it that way yourself, it has been a personal journey. And I think if whatever this is, whatever this refers to, is a spiritual modality, I think then you can take that message tenfold too. This is wonderful, Gemini. I really like this. Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Real true understanding having come through for you. So what should Gemini be focusing on this week, please? Thank you. Ooh, we have the Two of Wands. Now I like the Two of Wands because, ooh, got the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck as well. I like the Two of Wands because there are a number of cards that talk about kind of crossroads energies and needing to make decisions about things, right? And actually the Lovers card is one of them, which is the other card of Gemini, right? But those major arcana cards are big forces, are big energies coming towards you, and you are made to make a decision right there and then. For me, because this is minor arcana, this is talking about you bringing yourself to a crossroads energy for me. It's like going, right, well, what do I want to change? For some of you, the change of perspective was something that you chose to accept. It's something that you chose to work with, because anything else would be almost like a denial of what it is that you've learned over this period while you've been really, really foggy, and now you've found a way out, you know. But this feels like it's a very healthy approach to all of the other things as well. So now there's, like I said, there's this commitment to what it is that you're doing, and an enjoyment of the journey rather than it being toiling away towards, you know, success. It's like you've already achieved the success, Gemini, and you didn't even realize it. Here, it's a case of looking at all other things, and in the light of what you have known, what you have now learned, what is it that you're going to change in other aspects of your life? How are you going to live differently? Almost. What about this Two of Wands, please? Thank you. We have the Nine of Pentacles. We have the Emperor, and we have the Ace of Wands. What do you want to achieve, Gemini? This is a really good... Fuck, there's Two of Wands at the bottom of the deck here. What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to go? Because I think possibly what you thought you wanted to achieve when you started out on this road, whatever this is now slightly different. now that you have an appreciation of it being the journey, I think it's changed where you think the destination is going to end up. Like, so what do you want to achieve? What do you want to start? What do you want to do? What do you want to do differently? Right? Sorry, I just got hit with so many fucking examples then. Like, give me a fucking chance, right? So, for some reason, and I don't know why this is, like, it seems very much like Mercury retrograde is not affecting you in the way that I thought it might, assumed that it would at all. This week, you are full of good ideas. Now, I actually feel like, fuck, okay, well, this is making sense. I'm like, my mind is going so fucking fast. Like, I'm hearing so many fucking things. I can't actually catch hold of them because this isn't me, this is you. Like, you are absolutely filled with new ideas, new creativity, new potential this week. And it is for you, out of that incredible well that apparently you have to draw from this week, to pick what you want, what makes you happy, right? And then start enacting it in some way. Like, the energy is very, very strong for you this week to really work with ideas. Honestly, if there's something that you've already kind of started, even if it is in a half-assed fashion, then this is a good week to kind of pick that up and keep moving with it. Maybe it's more about planning for you rather than starting this week if it's something new, right? I would go that way. But put your own happiness first, right? Put your journey first. And when you do that, how does it change what you want to do moving forwards from there? I hope that makes sense, but because, like, I was finding it really difficult to think then. It was just like, there were just things just going ba 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 ba. That's your brain. That's very much a Gemini brain. With the Wheel of Fortune here, there's so much energy supporting you in everything this week. What should Gemini avoid is we have the Strength card. Tell me about Strength card. Thank you. Oh. Yeah. Oh. That's interesting. We've got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse and we've got the Sun in reverse with the Four of Pentacles coming out to clarify the Strength card. This is not a week for feeling like you're enduring stuff, right? Now, I haven't worded that the right way. It's like, try and avoid feelings of being put upon, like, you know, that sort of thing. If there is something that you are working hard at, try and step back from it and see how wonderful it is that you have the opportunity to do exactly this, right? There's a real put upon energy that I'm feeling here with this, and particularly that's here too. You know, we've got the Four of Pentacles. Avoid clinging to the need for results for things, because that's not what this process is about for you. But with the Wheel of Fortune and the Sun both in the reverse there, like, don't feel like you're stuck in a cycle that you can't break out of. Like, there's almost an element of being punished here. Now, I should just notice that you're at the bottom of the deck there. It's the Knight of Swords. It would be easy to feel kind of victimized, and that you don't have a choice in anything and everything just sort of happens at you, and you know, it's always about having to plod on and do the best, you know, make the best of a shitty situation. It's kind of like, that's a perspective thing there. Like, if you find yourself kind of falling into that mode of thinking, just stop for a second and step back and have a look at what it is that you're actually doing. Because I think that for most of you, it seems like what you're doing is something that you really, really love, but you almost kind of lost sight of that. Now it's coming back. It's coming back really, really strongly this week, it seems. And the energy is supporting what makes you happy. So this is a week for really understanding what makes you happy and then looking to build on that. It is not a week for kind of feeling put upon by the universe because you started doing something that you thought would make you happy, and actually it's just really hard work and you're not getting the return on it that you thought you would. You know, it's like step back from it if you feel yourself going this way, and look for your blessings, because there are multitude, Gemini. There are myriad blessings going on here for you, and I like it. I'm kind of envious, actually. I think this is really cool. Right. Let's put these back. And I am going... confusing myself. I'm going to pause this and go to the loo. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm back. So, let's move on to Cancer, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. For the week of the 31st of May to the 6th of June. Could I have a theme for the week for Cancer, please? Ooh, thank you. We have the Father of Cups. That is the King of Cups in a standard deck, and the card of Scorpio. Notice that we have the Fool at the bottom of the deck here too. Now, this is a card of emotional availability, openness. It is also considered to be emotional mastery, right? So, Father of Cups. This is a week that sees you really open to new experiences, possibly. But I feel like it's more open to you, actually. There's a feeling of acceptance that comes with this, which isn't what I usually associate the King of Cups with specifically. Usually it's the Page of Cups, but it's come up here with the Knight of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles too. It feels very self-directed. It feels very self-oriented. And whilst it might well refer to the way that you are approaching other people, and it would certainly speak of a more grounded and level way of interacting with people emotionally. We've got the Knight of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles here. Right. Now the Queen of Pentacles for me is the card of taking care of yourself, right? Meeting your own basic needs, nurturing yourself, all of that sort of thing. And the Knight of Pentacles is knowing what is important, right? And he's actually in the process of bringing this here to the Queen. This feels very peaceful, actually, Cancer, if I'm honest. It feels like a really peaceful energy that you've got around you this week. Somewhat unruffled by things that are going on around you, because there's something quite profound shifting in front of you. You understand what is important, and you are taking what is important to the Queen, who is able to work with that. We've got the Magician at the bottom of this deck and the Fool at the bottom of this deck. Like, it feels like there's something very new is starting here, and I think that the new thing is you this week, Cancer. And the interesting thing about that is that it's going to change the way that you see everything. There's just newness all around you, and it isn't necessarily with new people coming in or you doing anything new. It's just like you're looking at things with fresh eyes. And there's no sense of rushing at anything. It's just a level of comfort that I would not necessarily strictly apply to Cancer, particularly when it comes to, you know, how you feel about yourself. I really like this. This is good. So, love and interpersonal relationships for Cancer, please. There's the Page of Cups. There's the acceptance. I felt like it was going to come out there somewhere. Like, there's a real serenity about you this week, Cancer. What about this Four of Cups, please? We've got the Four of Wands, which is a beautiful card. We've got the Ten of Swords, but it's come out with the Seven of Cups here. It feels to me a lot like you are getting some incredible insights this week into your relationships with everyone, Okay? It could well be that you are in quite a reflective frame of mind. Let's not forget that Mercury retrograde is a thing, and that's, you know, that's what the energy is asking you to do. But it seems to me like you're reflecting on old situations where you were emotionally confused. It feels like there's an incredible sense of completion coming here for you, in terms of what you have understood about what you understood about what you have experienced, right? Maybe what it is, what the home environment actually means to you, like how your expectations of what home and comfort and union, often as well, with another person should feel like, compared to actually what it was, and where you specifically played your part in making it how it was. And it does feel like it feels like incredible release this week, Cancer, that comes from being able to pull up and back from situations and look at them objectively. You know, all the ways in which you were emotionally confused, all of the ways in which these different situations hurt you, seeing them now for what they are, which is wonderful, because the corollary of that is that this won't happen again. You won't let this happen again, because you are a different person now. It's really positive. It's really, really good. I can't tell you how peaceful. I almost feel a bit blissed out, like I, you know, don't really know what to say, because things don't really need to be said. That's the thing. That's interesting. Right, let's look at work and money and material environment. We have the Three of Cups. That's really nice, guys. And we've got the Father of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, followed by the Ace of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune. This week is all about changing the way, not changing the way, acknowledging the changes in the way that you now show up for other people. No, we've got, although we're talking about work and money and materials here, there's always going to be other people necessarily part of your 3D material experience, right? Cancer is all about often service to people. And it feels to me like you've reflected on the ways, you are reflecting on the ways in which you have tried to be of service to people, but actually what you've done is done it at the expense of you. There's an incredible shift coming for you here, because you're changing the way that you show up, changing the nature of what it is to serve here. And it feels like it's putting you in a position where you are able to do so much more than you ever have before. I mean, look at this Ace of Pentacles here with the Wheel of Fortune. Like, from a distance, they look like the same card there. New opportunities definitely showing their faces to you this week. And it could feel like coincidence, could feel like it comes from nowhere, but it feels, but it's not. Like, you've set the seed for this. And now it feels like that is starting to grow. Tell me about this Three of Cups, please. We have the Death card, amazing, and the Hermit. It's a really good week for considering what it is that you want to change in your 3D environment, right? Whether it is your job or your house, where, you know, where you live, all that sort of stuff, the kind of people that you hang around with, you know, even down to, you know, maybe you're thinking about joining a class or something like that. Learning a new skill, something. It feels like there's something new that you want to bring in that marks the change, marks the difference, you know. And it does feel like it's centered around the acquisition of a new skill set, a new hobby, a new creative project, maybe a new job, something like that. Maybe you're even considering going to university, going back to university, or starting to study something in your own time, like a night class or something like that. It feels like the reactivity aspect of you, Cancer, is really fading away. And now what you're doing is looking for ways. Well, it's kind of like you've sat and thought about where it is that you want to end up eventually, right? And remember that we're looking at everything with new eyes now. There's the Empress at the bottom of the deck. I didn't even notice that too. And you're kind of walking back on yourself and seeing what steps it is that you're going to need to take in order to bring that towards you. But it does feel like this week marks a need by you to mark the change in how you show up and where you're going and what you want to do in future and all that sort of thing. It feels like you taking the first steps to have your external environment start to reflect your internal environment. I think that's wonderful. I really do. Ooh, lovely. Right, so what should Cancer focus on this week, please? We have the Son of Swords, that's Gemini, because it's the Knight of Swords in a standard deck. This week's really about, we've got the Page of Cups and we've got the Five of Pentacles with the Ten of Cups at the bottom of the deck. It really does feel like a week for you to start thinking very clearly about your next steps, where you go from here, because what you absolutely want to avoid is any situation that puts you in that kind of mindset moving forwards, right? So whether that is financial or emotional, doesn't really matter. Like the poverty of this card is the important thing, or the fear of poverty. It doesn't feel quite like the movement is hitting yet, which is good, because that absolutely correlates with the retrograde energy of not starting anything new yet. But it does talk about making plans, tying up old loose ends, which I feel like you're doing very strongly anyway. But in the light of the new experience of Cancer, right, the new experience of being alive, what kind of situations are going to make you feel fulfilled? What kind of control can you take over your life that will make you feel like you're really living? Because with this Page of Swords at the bottom of the deck, we've got these two pages now. The Emperor is actually sat behind it as well. It's like your eyes have been open to an awful lot of things. And when we start with pages, you know, it's good. It's starting at the bottom. It's understanding that there are changes that need to be made, and you are on a new path now, which necessarily involves you being a beginner in a certain amount of ways. But with this Knight of Wands, the Knight of Swords, sorry, we've got some really vigorous mental energy towards the future, how you take control of your own future. You take responsibility for it, and you start headed off in a direction that is going to benefit not just you, but also those people around you for whom you want to be available to be of service in whatever way that applies, you know, but in the healthiest possible way, rather than, you know, elements of codependence or any of the other things that have plagued your existence up until now. It's like, I don't ever want to be back in this situation, so what do I do? What are my next steps? Oh, I like this. Tell me about what you should avoid. I've got the Five of Wands. Talks about conflict. Now that can be conflict with other people, or it can be internal conflict. I mean, for you, as something to avoid, kind of both of them would be really good, but let's have a look and see. Five of Wands. Right, it's clarified by the Five of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles. So we have the Six of Cups at the bottom of the deck, and that adds a useful perspective to this, because this is the card of the past. So it's not a week, it feels to me, that it's a good idea for you to be tackling people on things that you think that they did wrong. We've got the Six of Wands fell out to the side here, but that's in reverse, right? It's not a week for getting into active conflict with anyone about anything, because you're not going to be able to make your point understood. These people are committed to misunderstanding you, and it's a misdirection of your energy to try and tackle this. This is about taking responsibility for yourself and yourself alone, and working towards your future goals, or laying the plans for your future goals, rather than tackling the people that you think are perhaps still in your immediate environment who make life difficult for you. Like, kind of avoid that altogether. You've got 2 5 cards there, which is difficult energy. But the difficult energy comes from entangling yourself with someone else this week. Right? No success with that at all. And the possibility actually of making the situation worse. It's like this week, choose where your energy is going. And that energy needs to go directly into you. Don't let it get deviated into other people this week. It's you alone, and your future, what you want to bring towards yourself. I start laying plans now. Ooh, this is cool. It feels very powerful, Cancer. It feels very powerful indeed. And indicative of some I think July is going to have some really wonderful things for you. So let us move on to Leo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. I have a theme for the week for Leo, please. Oh. We have the 7 of Swords and the 10 of Pentacles here. Now, the 7 of Swords both refers to deception, and that can be self-deception or deception of others, but it can also talk about risk, as in the need to take a risk. Now, this fox is side-eyeing me, but I am noticing that he is sat below 6 swords actually here, that are all laid horizontally across the card. Now, that puts those swords, beg your pardon, in an effectively neutral position. Like, I have this arbitrary rule of swords up good and swords down bad, right? But when they're planted horizontally, there's a neutrality here to this card. And this fox is sat on a single sword at the bottom, right? That's where the 7th sword is. It's hiding. It actually feels to me a little bit like this is a week not to reveal all of your cards to everyone, right? Like I said, there's a neutrality to these swords, but swords being communication of any sort, whether it is, internally or externally expressed, so thoughts or the ways in which you communicate with other people. It's a good week to keep something back to yourself. What about this 7 of Swords, please? Yeah, so we've got Death and we've got the Devil. We have something coming to an end this week for you. Possibly a little bit of emotional confusion, but it's not a week for laying all of your cards down on the table. Particularly not if you're dealing with a Scorpio or a Capricorn. I'm just going to throw that in there. Because it feels like something's coming to an end. Something's coming to completion. But if you show your hand too soon, it feels like there's the potential for someone to try and thwart this for you, right? To try and stop something completing in the way that it's trying to do so at the moment. I just had loose lips sink ships, right? It's that kind of energy, right? You can share some of what you're planning to do with people, but not all of it, because there's an energy around you who that feels like it kind of wants to thwart what you might have in mind. Right? It's stopping the progression of death here. That's what the devil's doing. It's just like, it's literally stop is going on here, right? And it's stopping death moving this way. Something's trying to close out, something's trying to complete, and the best thing that you can do is keep your mouth shut this week about what those things are, because if whatever is represented by this devil energy, and it does feel like it's another person to me, gets wind of what you are doing this week, they could throw quite a big spanner in the works for you. That's how it feels. So tell me about love and interpersonal relationships for Leo. We have the 9 of Cups and we have the 10 of Cups. So around you, everything else seems really rather good. We've got you showing up in a very good state. 9 of Cups is not just your own emotional fulfillment and your own personal happiness, but it's you taking responsibility for those things. And then we have the 10 of Cups, which is the collective. Now, this only ever works if you've got two people plus, who are coming together to do this. Like the 10 is almost like more than the sum of the parts, I think. But the very necessary foundation for that is two people showing up in this state. That's how we get to here. And it looks like everything's really rather good in that regard. Regardless. We've got the Queen of Swords. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. Ooh. And we've got the Knight of Wands and Strength. So, Leo, if you're dealing with a Sag, this looks pretty good. It's the Knight of Wands is Sagittarius energy. Leo is strength is Leo here, and we have you at the background, in the background here, behind this Sagittarian potentially. But both of you are headed towards the Wheel of Fortune. It feels like, if you were dealing with a Sagittarius, it feels like you two together are kind of not only rocking this incredibly good 10 of Cups energy here, but actually moving towards the wheel, ready to jump onto it, in fact, for things to suddenly improve. There's something really quite good being implied here by this card. Now, we've got the Queen of Swords, who is sat on the other side of the Wheel of Fortune. And that's quite interesting, because she's not given to be a particularly emotional card. She doesn't come from an emotional place. She comes from a place of logic and discernment, you know, intelligent approaches to things. And so it looks like you are working together with this energy, if you're dealing with a Sag specifically, to move very intelligently towards something, some sort of new opportunity. I think that you probably have been doing for a while and you just did not really realize it. Now, whether or not you're dealing with a Sagittarius, it actually feels like the Knight of Wands here, if it's just your energy and your energy alone, it's speaking to the possibility of you seeing an opportunity when it arises. Right? The Queen of Swords is very logical. She's very rational and reasonable, and not given to fits of, you know, emotional fancy. She just deals with the facts as they are in front of her. And it feels to me like you are taking that approach to something, but there's almost an intuitive leap here that shows you where there's an opportunity with someone else. There is somebody else here, Leo. Because we've got that collective fulfillment. Now, it could be actually that this could be your dependents, you know, it could be your children, or it could be, you know, friends or something like that. But do you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna pull another card. I noticed that we've got the Tower at the bottom of the deck. And do you know what? We've got a whole heap of really difficult energy underneath all of it. I'll show you this because I think it's relevant. So we have the Tower. But I feel like this is a tower you've been waiting for, Leo. I think not just waiting for, but kind of wishing for, hoping that it would come in. Right? It's course correction. It is a change. It can sometimes refer to a literal building. So if you're looking for a house or something like that, it could well refer to that. But underneath that, we've got the Seven of Cups. We have that emotional confusion. possibly emotional illusion. We have the Eight of Swords, feeling really stuck and frustrated and unable to move, trapped in your own head sometimes. The Five of Pentacles. Well, I mean, look at that rose just wilting there. It's like your needs have not been being met in the way that you wanted. Heartbreak, almost, with the Three of Swords. Five of Swords, kind of getting stuck in really difficult thought patterns, you know, and we're noticing a theme here with the stuck and the stuck and the stuck. And then we've got the Strength card, finally at the bottom there, right? So it feels to me like these are all the things that you have been experiencing recently. And this is a week that sees them coming to a cracking end with the Tower card on the top. Right? It could well be because you have been working through the feelings that this situation has been throwing up for you, and there are many, Leo, there are many feelings here. Doing your groundwork and making you ready for what is coming in for you and also those around you, right? Your collective, whoever they are. Tell me about the Wheel of Fortune, please. Oh. Ace of Pentacles and the Mother of Pentacles, right? I do feel for some of you who have children, like this is really important. It's Capricorn energy, this, but the Mother of Pentacles is all about nurturing yourself, right? So it's taking care of yourself. I call her the self-care queen, right? Nurturing yourself, looking after your own basic needs, all that kind of thing. But she's depicted here with a child, and she's not usually. In most other decks, you don't see the queens with their children, but we do here. So it feels to me like you feel like you have responsibility for maybe children, but maybe other people too, right? Whoever it is. You are the one who is kind of like the ranking adult in this situation, and you have people who are depending on you for something. The Wheel of Fortune here for you is the Ace of Pentacles. It is that breakthrough that you've been waiting. That's why the Tower is at the bottom of the deck there. So the space that you've been in, there has been something really valuable for you to learn there. And I feel like you have been learning it, because otherwise the wheel wouldn't be turning the way that it is. The opportunity is coming and you will see it because you've done all of the groundwork here. It could be that there's an element of needing to compromise what... No, I actually don't feel that's true. Now I'm saying it, I don't feel it's true. I was going to say there could be an element of you needing to compromise what it was that you were wanting, but actually I don't think it's true. I think the fact that you may have had really high standards about what it is that you were waiting for. It feels like this week you see that you were right to do so, but that it was the right move, it was the discerning move, it was the intelligent move, even if you don't know why you did it, you know. So in terms of this, the heavy sense of responsibility that you feel for another, whether it is your partner or it's your children or it's whoever it is, like I do feel that weight of responsibility on your shoulders, Leo. It feels to me this week you really get proved right, you know, for doing it the way that you did, and it certainly makes all of the worry feel like it was worth it. Yes. So let's have a look at work, money and material environment. Yeah, we have the Eight of Swords and we have the Ace of Cups. We have that breakthrough happening there, the where you have felt restricted, where you have felt trapped, where you have felt stuck in circumstances. This is a week where it starts to break open, right? It's the second ace that we've had on the table here, and it is you know, your emotional sense side of you, you know, really cracking open. It feels with relief. Something in your material environment changes this week and the relief is absolutely palpable. It just feels like there's just water pouring out of me all over, just from cracks, just like, whew. There's such a release of tension here, Leo. Yeah. Nine of Cups again. Yeah, I mean, the Sun, the Fool. Whatever it is that you've been waiting for in your material environment, it feels like you get confirmation of that this week. This is the card of Leo, but it is a card of pure joy. It is a card of you really getting the thing that you have been waiting for, the thing that you have been wishing for, and being able to start this new cycle that you have been so very fucking desperate to effect and been so thwarted on. It feels really thwarted for a long time. What should Leo focus on this week, please? Whoa, fuck. Strength. It's about keeping the faith, Leo. It's always been about keeping the faith, unfortunately. Well, no, like keeping the faith in really difficult circumstances, you know, where things were less than ideal, where there didn't seem to be a way out, and it didn't matter what you tried to do, nothing changed. Right? Those are the circumstances where we can lose our faith very, very quickly. But even though you might have wobbled, I feel like you've stayed the course, and yeah, you're going to see the results of it. Tell me that Strength card here. Yeah. And be ready. You know, we've got... The interesting thing is here, it suggests to me that the things that you've really struggled with, like I said, the keeping the faith and all that kind of thing, it was a necessary part of what comes next. We've got the Eight of Cups and we've got the Tower here. There is a whole sheaf of feelings inside of you that are associated with whatever changes it has been that you've been trying to root and not being able to, that run a lot deeper than just the thing itself, right? And it's possible that other people might not have been able to understand quite what has gone on here because there's been something that's been very emotionally destabilizing about the changes not happening. And you've had to process all of that that's come up before you've been allowed to move forwards. Right? There have been towers that have needed to fall, and perhaps for some of you it is that needing to maintain the faith. For others of you, it's dealing with surprise emotions that you didn't expect that were associated with this thing, and you're kind of like, where the fuck has this come from? Why does it leave me feeling so like this? And the other way of doing it is remaining. The other way of looking at this is the need to remain strong, even amidst the chaos. Resolute in your own faith, no doubt that you will get the thing that you want at the time that it is right to do so. You know, all of these are really strong lessons. We do have the Magician at the bottom of the deck, right? Keep front and center what it is that you want and be patient. Know that it will come in time. Let's have a look at what Leo should avoid this week. Should avoid this week. Five of Cups. Ooh. With the Four of Wands and that Devil card again. Don't really like this Devil popping up here. This does feel like somebody who has a vested interest in you not getting the new start that you want. And I don't feel like that vested interest is in any way noble. None whatsoever. The Four of Wands is what you want here. It's what you are building. It's what you are, it seems, finally starting to get a view of. It's coming over the horizon. You can see it now. You're like, holy shit, there it is. There's the thing. I was right. to maintain the faith. I was right to do all of these things. I was right to work through all of my doubt and that sort of stuff. This Five of Cups doesn't actually feel like it belongs to you, Leo. This feels like it belongs to this devil. And this card is all about loss. Somebody else's loss. Somebody else does not want you to complete this cycle. Somebody else does not want you to start again. And I don't know who it is, but what you are to avoid is actually giving, like I said, giving away your hand, letting people know what is going on, because as well as loss and bereavement and all of the other things that this talks about, it can talk about bitterness. It can talk about a very closed-minded, resentful energy. It's certainly an energy of somebody who feels like they've lost something and they don't want you to gain anything either. Could be a Capricorn. We just pull one more card for that. Could be a Virgo. But I'm looking at how the Hermit is looking down. And I'm looking at how this horse is looking down. It feels like if you reveal too much of your good news to somebody who has a vested interest in you not making a new start, they're going to get all up in themselves, up in their feelings, up in their head. And it feels like they might well try and put a spanner in the works here for you. So, do not reveal your hand this week, apart from to people that you trust. Because I don't like that devil energy at all. No. But it's a momentary wrinkle. I think if you keep your mouth shut largely, this person won't get wind of what you are moving on to until such a time as it is impossible for them to do anything about it, to try and stop you from going off in that direction. Okay. Whew. Let's move on to Virgo. Could I have a theme for the week for Virgo, please? Thank you. We have the Page of Pentacles. We have you starting something new this week, Virgo. Very strong. And it's with the star at the bottom of the deck. It feels like it is the first step on the road to you creating a new future for yourself. Now, because this is Pentacles, I don't think that this is something that's spontaneous. I think this is something that's had at least a small element of planning behind it, even a couple of weeks. But there's a real focus on the new this week. Thank you. Page of Cups and the Four of Wands. Some of you may be moving into a new place. Maybe you're moving a bit further away than that. But we've got the Page of Cups, which is lovely energy with these two pages. Actually feeling kind of... So no, we don't have the Page of Wands here, and the Page of Wands is the card that I associate with that excitement about starting something new. It seems like the new thing here is very practical. It's got a practical basis, like I said, and if you're moving house or something like that, yeah, maybe moving job, something. It feels more house than job, to be honest. Then it could be that you're very concerned with, you know, the practical nature of what it is that you're doing there. But there's a peace about this. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel stressful. It almost feels like the feeling underneath it is one of alignment and peace, like knowing that this is the right move now for you moving forwards. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's really a week for just getting your head down and focusing on the practical matters. Like the emotional stuff will come afterwards, because I do feel like there will be consequences that will come out a little way down the road on the changes that you've made here, but you can deal with that as it arises. Right now it feels like the practical stuff is more important. But again, it feels really peaceful, Virgo. I really like that. So what about love and interpersonal relationships for Virgo, please? We have the Five of Swords and we have the Three of Swords in reverse. This is really interesting because it doesn't feel like doesn't really feel like there's anybody else here involved in this. And I know that the whole point of this is love and, romantic relationships and or interpersonal relationships. You feel very quiet this week. And it does feel like you're concentrating on your own healing rather than interacting too hard with other people. The Seven of Swords here. Yeah. It might be that you've retreated momentarily into your cave. Like, I don't know about you, but when I'm doing practical things, that's often when my biggest kind of like emotional aha moments happen, because I'm kind of concentrating on something mundane and it gives my brain the space to start making connections with things. It actually feels like what's happening here for you. You feel a little bit withdrawn, like you've pulled back into your cave, but not in an unhealthy way, not in a way that worries me at all, Virgo. It's more just a contemplation of everything, kind of life, the universe and everything that's rolling around while you are doing other things. And are you moving back towards family? Possibly. That's possible for some of you. There's a risk here implied, the way that you're kind of pulling yourself away from the life that you're in now. And it's very active. But this week it feels like you're just giving your mind the space to wander. And I think that's really important because there's healing going on here for you in that process. It's like you're not having to actively think too hard about it. It's just sort of happening while you're doing other things. Because we've got this Ten of... It's almost like you're readying yourself for a collective. Like whether this is a family or friends or whatever. It feels like you're returning to something, Virgo. But before you do, you're working on yourself. Without even realising that you're working on yourself. Because we do have that moon at the bottom of the deck there. There's just... Like I said, it feels like you're distracted with practical things, but there's so much processing that's going on in the background because your mind's got the space to do it. I actually think that's really healthy. I think it's really useful. It feels preparatory. You know, just a little quick duck back into the cave to ready yourself for going back to something. To someone, to a group of people, to a set of people, perhaps. Maybe even getting ready to bare your soul to these people. Almost like you want to use the right words. Because this star is very vulnerable. It feels like you're preparing to be vulnerable. Let's have a look at work and money and material environment. What's going on there with that? Oh, gosh. Yeah, we have you leaving something behind here. And there's the Seven of Swords again. You do feel like you're moving. In some sense, you are moving, whether you are literally moving or whether you are shifting towards a new way of doing things. We've got the Eight of Cups, the Seven of Swords, and the Seven of Cups. You're leaving something behind. right? Whether that's a house or a job or whatever, you're leaving something behind, taking a risk, and kind of throwing yourself out into the unknown, which is really interesting, because I don't feel anything other than mild trepidation about it. Although you don't know quite what you're putting yourself into, it feels like you're comfortable with that because it's not where you have been. And that's better. Like this. Yeah, well, we've got the Two of Pentacles, the Ten of Swords, and we've got the Lovers. Virgo, you're taking charge of everything. You're now at the point where you have found your balance, you have found your center with this Two of Pentacles, and something is coming to an end because you choose. You're choosing to bring it to an end. You're choosing to do all sorts of things. Like, you are really taking control of your life and where you are going, what you are doing, where you are going to. It feels, oh, there's the Page of Wands finally showing his face. There's excitement here. Like I said, it's kind of tinged with a mild sense of trepidation because you're not entirely sure what you're throwing yourself into. But I don't think that you're going to regret this decision, Virgo. Not at all. Because just the act of being able to do it for yourself is a huge part of this. So, what should Virgo focus on this week, please? Thank you. The Emperor, yeah, I mean, just really keeping your shit together, staying on top of everything. I'm seeing an awful lot of self-control here, which is something that I think Virgos do quite well anyway. You're quite self-controlled, but it's not controlling. And you're not just controlling you now, you're also getting up and engaging with universal energies, with the cosmos, right? You've got conscious co-creation here. You're actually working in alignment with this energy now to create something for you. You know, so I don't need to tell Virgos to make sure that they've planned properly, because you're the sign of planning properly. The Emperor, please. Wow, we've got the Six of Cups in reverse and the Nine of Cups. Sorry, right. Keep plodding forwards, Virgo, and towards your happiness. The message is really, really clear there. And it doesn't just end with whatever this shift is that you're dealing with now, in whatever sense that occurs. You've got to keep the momentum going with that. So don't just, say, for example, relocate and then then hide in your house for the next 2 years. It's like, this is the first step on a long road now, and you're making a big change, but your life will be full of opportunities to work with energy and bring these things in for you, or, whatever it is that you want to bring towards you. So don't take your eye off the ball. Don't think just because you made this big change that that's it now. This is getting you into a pattern of behavior used to making these changes and conscious co-creation, What should Virgo avoid? Got the Temperance card. Temperance. That's interesting. It's clarified by the Two of Swords. And so actually it feels like you should avoid putting a responsibility for what happens in your life into the hands of the fates, right? Saying, well, I can't control these things, so I'm just going to let everything happen around me. It's actually like asking you to consciously engage with everything at this point moving forwards, right? Don't close your eyes to possibilities that are coming up in front of you. Don't close your eyes to potential that is there to be exploited. It is being presented to you there, but like, you need to actively engage in it. You need to do something with it. Like, don't wait to be guided here. You might have had a push recently. You might have had something really unexpected drop in your lap that has felt like it was divine guidance or divine orchestration or something like that. It actually wasn't. You kind of brought this towards you, right? So remember that the key to your success is continued engagement. You can retreat into your cave whenever you need to recharge, but just remember to come back out again. Remember that active engagement is really, really important for you. Whew. Looks good though, Virgo. It looks really, really good. So let's move these to the side and we will move on to Libra. I'll shuffle. I have a theme for the week for Libra, please. Oh, what have we got here? We have got the 9 of Wands and we've got the 6 of Wands. That's nice. We have the 8 of Cups at the bottom of the deck here. This feels like a week where you are standing a little bit straighter, Libra. I can't... I actually just straightened up my spine as I looked at those cards there and just kind of like pulled myself in. It feels like it's a week here where you are possibly enforcing your boundaries a little bit. And if that is what you're doing, it's certainly successful. But it feels like there's a little bit of something that's kind of, there's a little bit of energy here that's rising up to the surface that you didn't feel like you had before. We've got the 8 of Cups here, which talks about leaving something behind, and it's emotional in nature. You know, the received wisdom from tarot readers is it's, you know, leaving behind an old situation that you know doesn't serve you. But we all know we can leave those situations behind physically and take all of the shit show of emotions that created in us with us for decades on further. This feels like you've kind of broken away from something this week, Libra. You've understood something. Something has been released in you and it's really helping you just stand up that little bit straighter, feel a little bit firmer in your convictions this week. Oh gosh, we have, yeah, something's definitely changed here. You've changed your perspective on something. We've got the 2 of Pentacles, we've got the Hanged Man, and we've got the 2 of Wands. Now, cards number 2 always talk about the internal space for me. So something's gone on with you internally. And what seems to have gone on is not only have you stabilized your emotions about something, but you really have seen the other side of something. You've changed your perspective. And now this feels like it's led you to a place where you are now able to make decisions with perhaps more information than you had before. It could be that you see somebody else's side of something. But I can't get away from this straight-backed energy. Like, really standing up tall. And for some of you, it's going to revolve around the fact that you have been kind of static for a little while now. Possibly while you were dealing with something that's been going on with you. And now you're ready to start making decisions. Now you're ready to start doing things outside of you. But it feels like a really strong presentation of energy, Libra. And for some of you, it might well be that this week is the week where this change of perspective occurs. It might not have happened yet, but there's definitely a sense of going from the in to the out now. An outward expression of how you're feeling internally. Let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships for Libra, please. Ooh. We have the Nine of Swords. That's very difficult energy. It talks about anxiety, depression, perhaps a lack of understanding of somebody else's perspective, right? Maybe that's why this perspective change occurs here. Something is really bothering you about, you know, one or perhaps more of your relationships. Tell me about this. We've got the Lovers card and we've got the Six of Wands. Interesting. It actually feels to me, Libra, like this is a week where you can choose how you feel about something, right? This is the wisdom of the changed perspective. You can choose to allow yourself to be upset and worried and you know, very anxious about a situation, or you can choose to see it differently. You can choose to engage with people anyway. This Lovers card is sitting in between these two cards here, and they are at such polar opposites, such extremes. You can allow yourself to be fearful, you can allow yourself to be upset, or you can choose to live successfully, engage with something successfully, you know? Because there's always a public dimension to the Six of Wands here. You know, we've got loads of people depicted on that card here. And nothing changes this week in terms of the way that you interact with people. Nothing changes except that which you allow to change. So you could allow yourself to kind of jump on the train of division that seems to be going on at the moment. The country's being pulled in all sorts of directions over all sorts of positions on things. And that is breeding fear, and it's breeding feelings of you know, huge anxiety and concern and worry. Or you can choose to engage. You can choose to successfully engage with people. Like, it feels like this is actually a week of you pulling yourself out of the darkness, out of the isolation that you've been in, Libra, and choosing to get out there and mix with people. It's really interesting. But the important thing is the choice, because nothing changes other than the way that you are looking at the situation this week. And it seems to me like it doesn't have to be doom and gloom. It can actually be quite joyful and celebratory if you allow it to be. And I don't think that you have been doing that up until this point. Certainly that would be, you know, an enormous change of perspective and a decision. And we've got two cards of decision making here, right? It all comes back to you. Do what you feel is right, not what you are told is right. I think that's probably the best way I can put it. So tell me about material environment and money and work and all that sort of thing. We have the Empress and the Wheel of Fortune. So we could be having some good things coming in unexpectedly for you this week, Libra. The Empress is the card of Taurus for me, but some readers do see it as Libra. It's a card of abundance, ultimately, you know, really good things coming in for you. There's also an element of chaos. Right? It's a dark Empress card, and you know, feminine energy is quite chaotic. And we have the Wheel of Fortune, which has the chaos at the top here, but it also has this balance and order at the bottom, because the wheel is always turning between the two. It could be that this week starts off feeling rather chaotic and a little bit like you don't know which way is up, but there are incredible opportunities that are presenting to you in the midst of this chaos, if you see them, if you are looking for them. It could be that there's something here about seeds that you have planted in the past really coming to fruit now, but it feels more random than that, or at least perceptually random. It's just like coming in sideways. Look at this Empress in the Wheel of Fortune. we've got the Three of Cups and the Hierophant here with the King of Cups. Could be an opportunity coming to you through other people. One of the reasons why it might be a good idea for you to get out and engage with people this week. But we've got both sides of the Taurus energy appearing here for you, both the order and the chaos. You know, the order being represented, the order and the structure being represented by the Hierophant, and you being able to find a way to create something that is a bit more stable. But we also have the chaos with the Empress card here. But we have other people in the mix. We have the Three of Cups, and then we have this King of Cups here. This King of Cups feels like you. It feels like you taking an open approach to other people. It feels a lot like, actually, there could be an opportunity that presents to you this week that comes via somebody else, a conversation with somebody else, where they've just told you about something that's opening up, or, you know, just kind of referred sideways to something, and you've been all like, oh, hang on, that would be quite useful for me, you know. But it looks really good. It looks really, really good, but it does also look like it's contingent on you getting out and mixing with people. I can see you getting the keys to something this week, potentially. But there's a real sense of growth here for you. I'm not sure what this is, where this is coming from, but there's a leveling up here. There's an ability for you to be able to take something that is quite chaotic and give it a firm foundation for you to work on. It feels chaotic as I'm looking at it, but I'm not a Libra. I'm not weaving the order out of chaos. You know, that fucking phrase, I've been saying that over and over again recently, weaving order out of chaos. There's something here of that for you too. It feels like it's actually quite important. It feels like it's quite foundational. It feels like it's giving you a platform to work from, to build something else on top. Let's have a look and see what Libra should be focusing on this week. We have the Ace of Swords and we have the Ten of Pentacles. So, keeping your communication really, really clear this week, Libra, but also making sure that you really understand something. You know, there's no mistake that the Queen of Swords is a Libra card. She is highly discerning. She is very, very logical, very rational, and very concerned with making sure that she understands all sides of everything. Like, that needs to be very much you this week, really channeling that. And maybe challenging yourself at points too. And coming back to this Hanged Man and this change of perspective, but also that Nine of Swords there. Like, the Queen of Swords does not sit in a Nine of Swords energy, because she thinks really clearly about things. She's really focused on objectivity and solution, you know, creative solutions to things. Now, coming up here with the Ten of Pentacles, as it does here, it's asking you to be really, really thinking really clearly about what it is that you are committed to, what you intend to continue to be committed to, and where, if there is any disparity in your head between what is important to you and the ways that you feel like you are able to act towards those things at the moment, kind of come back and address those, because they do feel like they are within you somewhat, you know, like there's possibility of there having been a bit of muddied thinking here for you that you just got to kind of pull apart a little bit. I mean, like this Ace of Swords and kind of, yeah, I've got the Nine of Cups and the Magician. Oh my God, I'm not taking all of those, that's ridiculous. Right, we'll just stick with the two we've got. We're back to what's important to you, like what holds value for you, what makes you happy, all of that kind of thing, and where it feels like somebody else is telling you what you can do and what you can't do with something. Like, you are the magician, you make your own choices, you know, you have your own responsibilities, you set your own intentions for things, you are in charge of your life, and don't let anybody else tell you differently. So this week, what is important to you? What do you want to commit to? What will you continue to commit to? What will you commit to more than you have felt like you have been able to recently? Very strong. Tell me what Libra should avoid. Oh, that's all them cards here. I'm not taking all of those. There's like 6 cards there. Shuffle them back in. What should Libra avoid this week? Thank you. It's the Father of Cups, as in the King of Cups in reverse. Avoid closing down emotionally on things, right? And by that I mean responding to things in a fearful way. Try and keep yourself open, not only to you know, ways of thinking, different perspectives and that sort of thing, but also your heart. You know, be driven by what is important to you emotionally more than anything else, what makes you happy. Don't close down on that. Tell me about this Father of Cups in reverse. Thank you. Yeah, we've got the 5 of Swords and we've got the 7 of Cups. Actually feels like if you close down, whether it's a self-protective mechanism or what, you're kind of leading yourself to a place of even more confusion and actually coming from a very difficult perspective. As I'm looking at this 5 of Swords here, these people look like they're walking away from you. You think if you close yourself down emotionally this week, you may have people walking away from you that you don't want that to happen with, you know, that you wish to keep around you. And if feel like it's because your perspective is coming from a really funny place. It's like this week, really sit with that, really work out what is important to you and put that front and center. Oh, okay. Let's tidy these away. It's really sunny. It's nice. I'm supposed to absolutely lash it down with rain later. Oh, okay, let's move on to Scorpio. Sun, Moon or Ascendant. Have a card for Scorpio. Theme for the week, please. We've got the Page of Cups. I'm staring at it because the card that I was actually feeling as I was shuffling was the Ace of Cups. And it sort of is the Ace of Cups, but it's active. Like the Ace of Cups is the pure potential of the Ace suit, right? Contained right there, the full potentiality of it. But until you take it and you do something with it, so it's this kind of fairly ephemeral, conceptual feeling, you know? On all of the quartz cards, you have the aces on them, right? Here is the Page of Cups with that Ace of Cups at the top of the deck. This is doing something with it. It's not just the potential and possibility there for you, it is you plucking it and going, right, now I'm going in a direction with this, I'm going to do something with it. The Ace, the Page of Cups talks to me about notions of acceptance and forgiveness and compassion and all of these things that I'm starting to see weave into the Scorpio readings really strongly. That is self-generated and self-directed, more importantly. It really does feel like you it's the ugly duckling. That's what I've got going on here, right? It's you looking in the water and seeing that you're actually a beautiful swan, not an ugly duckling, you know. You always thought you were an ugly duckling because you were using almost the wrong metrics to see yourself as you were, and those wrong metrics were the pain and the wounds that were inflicted on you by other people, you know. I haven't even pulled any cards yet, and the Justice card is at the bottom of the deck. There's something really beautiful going on here, Scorpio. Actually, we've got getting an incredible hot flush. It's just kind of woven right across my body there. This is really powerful. I've got one fucking card on the table and I'm already feeling how powerful this is. It feels like you're righting the balance, Scorpio. It looks like you're finally able to see yourself as the swan that you are. Tell me about this Daughter of Cups. We have the Six of Cups, which is a Scorpio card. Wow, that's amazing. The Five of Cups, another Scorpio card, and the Lovers. The Five of Cups is in the reverse though, which is absolutely stunning. Here. This week feels like a major breakthrough for you, Scorpio. You know, it feels a lot like you are now refusing to be bound by the past. Any notion of the ugly duckling that you thought that you were. This is letting go of what you thought you'd lost, you know, but there's not that you thought that you'd lost, that which you had lost, you know, that really deep concentration that your soul has had on knowing that it was mistreated from the second that it entered the fucking 3D realm. It feels like release, it feels like acceptance, it feels like a readiness to embrace conscious co-creation. It feels like a willingness to evolve beyond, to transcend beyond what has been your experience thus far. So, needless to say, feels like it might be a big week for you, Scorpio. Holy fucking fuck, I was just sort of fucking waiting for all of that to go. Jesus. Tell me about love and interpersonal relationships for Scorpio, please. We've got the Emperor in reverse. Why is the Emperor in reverse here for Scorpio? Okay, 10 of Wands. And the Nine of Cups. Ooh, with the Star card at the bottom of the deck. So I'm not a big fan of the Emperor anyway. The Emperor energy. I don't know. It just doesn't vibe well with me, right? The Emperor in reverse is kind of even worse in terms of the way that I see it. So the Emperor is the King of Kings, and so he embodies all of the elements of all of the kings in one person, and he's given to be, you know, a great leader and all that sort of thing. But I always kind of feel like those control issues coming through really, really strongly with an Emperor. It's probably slightly unfair, and it's probably slightly, you know, skewed perspective that I've got of it. But when we get it coming out in the reverse, that is quite negative and it's quite toxic. And there are two different ways of looking at this, and both of them I think may apply here. It feels like for some of you there is an understanding of the way in which you have controlled relationships, any kind of relationship, not just, you know, not just with partners and stuff like that, but every relationship that you've ever engaged with. I think that this week you understand truly the consequences of how energetically expensive that is for you, and I think that you are resolving to leave it behind. It ends now. I'm not going to do that anymore. I literally don't have the fucking energy to do that anymore because I'm putting too much into me now. I'm relinquishing control of all sorts of things and concentrating on my own happiness. For others of you, there might actually be an understanding that other people might have been doing that to you this week. For some of you, it feels like you've been having people trying to guilt trip you on something that feels like emotional blackmail, actually. Somebody's like really been pushing your buttons, and that's not nice because Scorpios don't like anybody touching their fucking buttons, right? They keep them private, they keep them hidden. And I think even if you haven't necessarily externally reacted to somebody pressing your buttons, you've felt it and you've been struggling with it. It's been really, really hard for you. But I think that this week you see it for what it is, and you're like, no, I'm not engaging with that. I'm not letting it dictate how I move forwards. Like, I see what you're doing, and I'm not going to let you do it to me. It's about you taking control of yourself and removing that control from someone else. And that's really important. Whichever way around it is for you. It feels like a really important step moving forwards, right? It might be both. It could well be both. But I see you putting you first in a healthy way, moving forwards. And that's the important thing for this week. Anyway, tell me about work and material environment. Thank you. We have the Hanged Man, we have the Empress, and we have the Wheel of Fortune. Interesting. Put some cards. Ooh. What a bizarre set of cards. So we've got the Hanged Man, the Empress, and the Wheel of Fortune. Three major arcana across the top. We have, you know, a change in perspective. We have a certain amount of passivity, like an inaction here going on also with the Hanged Man. We have fertility and abundance and wonderful good things coming towards you. We also have the Wheel of Fortune. The Empress card contains a degree of chaos, because it's feminine energy. And we also see that chaos replicated here in the Wheel of Fortune. And here, you know, in the background of the Hanged Man. But then underneath we get the Ace of Cups, the Devil, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Six of Wands. It feels like there's an opportunity to release yourself from something this week. Maybe you've been looking at your finances and you've decided that actually, you know, rather than paying off that loan X amount a month for the rest of your life, it might be a good idea to just get rid of it now, right? What I'm seeing here is a real move towards getting away from anything that is making you feel trapped or is trapping you in a material sense, because we've got this Devil card here. This Ace of Cups feels sitting underneath the Hanged Man. It looks like you've changed your perspective on something, right? There's a move away from something that you've been trapped on. It could even be something like a lease, or a tenancy or something like that. But it feels like you've shaken up your material environment. Because I do recall, considering the fact that I do recall saying at some point in a reading recently that it felt like you'd lost all interest in your material environment altogether. Just didn't give a fuck about it at the moment. I think that you kind of come back to it, and it looks like you've been sorting, it looks like you've been ordering things into the right places, trying to make order out of chaos, right? And realizing that you're kind of stuck to some stuff that you'd actually like to get shot of. Because we've got this Nine of Pentacles here and the Six of Wands. It looks like you are trying to free yourself up, liberate yourself a little bit, so that you can put your energy, whether that's money or your time or whatever, put it somewhere that works better for you. Because where it has not been working. The amount of major arcana that's sat here, like, it feels like it's a big decision. It feels like it's something it's not just like, oh, I'm going to cancel my Netflix subscription because I don't really watch it. Although that could form, a small subset of the changes that you're making. But I do feel you kind of like getting rid of all sorts of things that are tethering you to something. And being all like, no, I'm going to manage everything better. I'm going to put my energy into a different direction. I'm going to pull right away from this devil. Works very well for you anyway, Scorpio. I hope that makes sense. Oh, very strange set of cards, but yeah, trying to get out of contracts early, something like that. Maybe avoiding even signing a contract for something if you don't have to. Realizing that actually it might be better for you to say go on a pay-as-you-go phone rather than a contract one. Like, I'm using shit examples, but that's the only sort of thing that I can bring to mind at the moment. Right? Your freedom is more important. Your ability to be able to move about is more important than being stuck to this, whatever it is. Okay, what should Scorpio focus on this week, please? Strength. It's the card of Leo in the major arcana, but it is about your own personal growth, your own personal journey, Scorpio. Don't be pulled off the route that you are carving out for yourself now. I don't think that you could be anyway, to be honest. Ooh, that's very interesting. Sometimes strength comes through submission, Scorpio. Sometimes strength comes from just letting go of things, It's one of the ways in which Scorpio is really, really powerful is your ability to hold on to things, in all senses. Scorpios are given to be notorious for holding a grudge, but again, they're kind of missing the point there. If a Scorpio is holding a grudge, what they're telling you is that they're so very fucking wounded by what you did. It's that pain. But it's concentrating on walking away from that pain. Like I said, Scorpios are victims of some really fucking lazy stereotyping. And I think it's people being mentally lazy when they're looking at these sort of situations. But there's a strength to giving in sometimes. There's a better way of phrasing that, because it isn't giving in. It's releasing, it's walking away. And sometimes it will have felt like it was giving in. Like if I just let go all of this traumatic stuff that happened to me in my life, then it's almost like sorry, I'm trying to pull apart here something that's really quite complex. When you define yourself by your pain internally, which is kind of, it's almost a necessity when you put up defenses to the degree that you do, Scorpio. To walk away from that pain is necessarily to walk away from the ways in which you have identified yourself as yourself, you know? It's like leaving a part of you behind. It's like not really knowing who you are without that. It's like if I step out of the darkness, do I even really exist anymore? The answer is that you do, Scorpio. You absolutely fucking do. You've struggled so much. And you are now starting to head towards the light. You are starting to be seen. It is happening, it's occurring. And part of what you are being required to let go of, to sacrifice, is that way in which you have defined yourself. And I'm not talking about you telling people that you're such a, you know, wounded creature and stuff like that. And Scorpio would never share something like that with anyone. But when you hold on to the mechanisms of protection, certainly for someone like me, you're telling me that you're wounded and you're holding on to that because it's who you are. It's a part of yourself. As you release those, as you let those go, and you can begin a journey of exploring who you are after that, without those mechanisms. This is where the profundity is coming in. Like, Scorpio, fuck. This is big work. Very big work. What should Scorpio avoid this week, guys? Queen of Pentacles. Ooh, with the Knight of Pentacles and the Three of Wands in the reverse. This week, it's really important for you to pay attention to even your closest relationships. Because as you change, the dynamic of those relationships is going to change too. And some of them will fall by the wayside because they can't continue the way that they are. Possibly because the people that you are around, the people that you have held dear, are at a different point in the journey, and you are now kind of pulling ahead somewhat away from them, you know. And the reason that I say this is because we've got this Mother of Pentacles here, we've got the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, we've got the Three of Wands in reverse. It feels like this week, then, do you know what I said a few minutes ago about not allowing yourself to be deviated from your path? I do feel like there's somebody around you who is uncomfortable with the way that you are starting to pay attention to your own feelings, to the way that you are starting to evolve, the way that you are releasing. And there's something here of them kind of wanting to make this about them. And I'm not entirely sure why that's going on, but it is. Like, we all know those people. Like, there's always somebody around who always managed to make something about them, but this is something quite deep. This is somebody who is feeling destabilized by the way in which you are evolving, and maybe on some, intuitive level, they kind of understand that there is a leaving behind that is necessarily going to occur if you continue down this road of evolution that you are going on, and they don't want that. Just pay attention to those really close relationships, the ones that have your loyalty. I know that there won't be many of them, because I feel like there's something uncomfortable there that another person is experiencing. Now, that's not your problem, that's theirs, but you should just be aware that it is there and it is happening. Whew. Right, okay, so I'll do the tidying away, there. And we will move on to Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant for the 31st of May to the 6th of June. I have a theme for the week for Sagittarius, please. Thank you. We have the Three of Swords. Okay. That's quite a strong opening. Why is the Three of Swords here? Oh, Sag, thank you. Okay, right, well that makes sense. This is a week where your own wounding really seems to come to the fore, in so much as you get an insight into it, right? A stronger insight than you already had. We've got the Ace of Swords and the Knight of Wands here. The Knight of Wands is your card. And we'll see you kind of like hurtling towards this Ace of Swords here. And the Three of Wands is all about the things that hurt us. And for you, I do feel like there's a retrospective aspect to this. Remember that Mercury retrograde is a thing here. It feels like there's something kind of coming to the surface this week. And it might be catalyzed by, you know, an experience that you see somebody else having, or a conversation that you have, because it doesn't feel to me like you are being actively hurt this week. It feels like this is reflection on a time that you were hurt, because we do have the Page of Swords here, and he's always looking backwards. His feet might be facing forward, but he's looking backwards at this situation. This is you reflecting on this, and it is you seeing an essential truth that you might have missed about something. Now, whether that is because you realize the degree to which, you know, people project things, maybe you realize that actually your parents were incredibly wounded creatures, and so, you know, that which you internalized as a child and made all about you, made your fault, because that's what kids do, actually was never anything to do with you. Like, it feels like there's a light going on in your head, Sagittarius, this week. And the quote that I always think of when I see this card is, you know, that a mind stretched by a new idea never returns to its original dimensions. And it feels like the idea that your mind is being stretched by this week is new information, a new perspective on an old hurt that you never considered before. Like I said, it feels like it just kind of drops in, either by conversation or, you know, watching somebody else go through a similar sort of situation. You kind of see it from a different perspective, and you see an angle of it that you had not seen before. Because, you know, when we go back to old things, you know, we literally go back to say you're 8, 9 years old and something traumatic happens. Every time you go back to that situation and you think about it, you're reliving it as an 8 or 9 year old child. Even if you're 40, 50 years old, you know, there's that there. What this feels like is going back and looking at this with the eyes of a 30, 40, 50 year old person, and kind of seeing the other elements that you did not perceive when you were young. I'm not saying it's necessarily going back to when you were 8 or 9 years old. It could be earlier than that, could be later than that. It could be something from your early adulthood, but whatever it is, it seems like this week you get a different perspective on it, and you grow as a result, because it feels like it'll set off a whole cascade, like dominoes falling in your head, where you understand a load of other things too, right? Kind of open up to you. Tell me about love and relationships for Sagittarius this week. We have the Ace of Wands. So if you are single, it's possible you might have somebody, you know, erupting into your life. Which could be very exciting. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, there definitely could be someone new coming along here, but actually I feel like this follows on really, really neatly from what we were just talking about, the overview for the week there, because we've got 2 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck here. This is talking about emotional regulation, like finding your center, finding your balance. And the cards that have come up underneath the Ace of Wands are the 4 of Pentacles, the High Priestess, and the Ace of Pentacles. And actually, so this feels like a liberation of you in the way that you are approaching a relationship, whether it is a new relationship or whether it is one that is established, because you are understanding something about yourself that you did not understand before. It feels like you're bringing that wisdom to this relationship, and it feels like there's something that's being let go this week that's really been overdue release by you, Sag. And it's being replaced with intuition instead. Now, you are highly intuitive creatures. I know enough Sagittarians. Like, your intuition is pretty much on point, but sometimes it clouded by other things. Overthinking. You do overthink an awful lot. This is holding on to things too tight. This is releasing, letting it go. It could be the relationship itself. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go and break up with people, but maybe you realize where you've been holding on too tight to a person within a relationship, and you're like, do you know what, I can actually relax. This is okay because I trust this person, and you know, things are different to the way that they were when I formulated my view on what relationships should be back in the fucking day, or what relationships actually were. Because whatever relationships your parents had, that's going to play a really fundamental part in what you consider to be a healthy relationship, either by swerving anything that was anything like your parents' relationship, or, you know, holding that as the ideal and being like, every relationship I've ever had's not been like my parents, therefore it can't be a good one. You know, I'm just kind of throwing examples in here. But something's getting released by you this week, and it does feel like it reinvigorates. It really brings something, a new layer into the relationship for you. And it's one where you are tapping into this inner wisdom, this inner trust that you have for the situation that you are in right now. But there are new things coming in here. Now, it could be new people, could be a Pisces if you are single and you're looking for someone. But it actually feels like these are new opportunities that are coming up if you are in a couple, that are coming up for the pair of you together. Now, it could be that because it feels like there's such a sense of alignment here, Sagittarius, like you're really on the same page and you're working towards the same goal, and neither of you are responsible individually for bringing these opportunities in. It's like the collective energy together is doing that. But it really does feel like there's a step up here for you, Sag. Really strong. Tell me about work and money and or material environment, please. Thank you. We have the Six of Pentacles looking very balanced, very stable. I like that. Nothing too dramatic and exciting, you know. In terms of money, like you've got what you need and that's all good. In terms of work, you know, it's kind of plodding along nicely. It's working. But do see you walking away from something. There's some movement here going on. We have your third ace now appearing at the bottom of the deck here. Sagittarius, I think there's a possibility that you might be turning your back on something of your material environment to concentrate on the, oh shit, there's four aces here, Sag. You've got the Ace of Swords, Wands, Pentacles, and now the Ace of Cups is at the bottom of the deck here. That's a whole heap of fucking potential that is now thrumming in front of you right now. I think you're going to sprint towards it, but I do think in doing so, you are necessarily going to be leaving something else behind. Now, it could be your job, it could be your house, it could be all sorts of things. We've got the Eight of Cups, the Six of Swords, and the Ten of Wands here. Like, and looking at these cards that are underneath, in addition to all of the aces that are now appearing on the reading, the Six of Pentacles is actually feeling like a state of mediocrity. You know, it's not bad, but it's not good. You know, this is a place where things could be improved. And I actually think that you are moving away from something that you have spent a bit of time really investing in, because you don't want it anymore. You want these new things. You want whatever these aces represent to you, and they represent literally everything actually, because they're all here for all four elements. There's something that you're moving away from because it's too hard to keep it going, and there's no cost, there's no benefit to it anymore. It's just burdensome. How intriguing. Ten of Cups. The World. This week is going to see you really deciding quite strongly that you don't want something that you have spent a bit of time trying to sort out for yourself. This could be a job, this could be a business, this could be your work. There's a feeling of great mediocrity with this aspect of your life here. It's kind of like, yeah, it's okay, it's all right, it's not great, but it's okay, it's ticking along. But it feels like you're turning your back on it. We've got the World. You're just kind of like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Because you feel like you're going towards this instead, this Ten of Cups, this emotional fulfillment, skipping straight from the Ace to the 10 as it happens. So many opportunities opening up here for you, and like a true Knight of Wands, you're ready to bounce on every single one of them. I don't see you giving too much thought to this, not in a reckless way, but in an instinctive, intuitive, I know I'm going in the right direction because here are all of these opportunities. I'm going to go and pounce on these right now. Yeah? This is really strong. It's really powerful set of cards. Tell me what Sagittarius should be focusing on this week, please. We have the Hermit and we have the Empress. I really do think you should be focusing on dreaming big this week, Sag. Like, what does true success feel like to you? What does true abundance feel like to you? Because it doesn't feel like it's stuff anymore. It doesn't feel like it's anything that you might have spent quite a lot of time and effort in the past pulling together for yourself. It feels like everything is shifting and everything's changing. And this week it would be a really good idea to make sure that you kind of check in with yourself. Yeah, really check in with yourself. And decide what it is that you want, fucking hell, from your life. We've now got the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck. That is life, it's living, it's the will to live, it's that real invigoration, reinvigoration of life. What's come out in the clarifiers here, Page of Pentacles, Four of Swords, the Empress again, and the Death card. This feels like a really, really pivotal week for you, Sag. Like not just pivotal month, but like this week seems to spin on a sixpence for you. Spend a bit of time working out what is important to you, what you want to start, what you want to leave behind, what you are comfortable with ending, what abundance feels like to you. Because when you know what abundance feels like to you, and for you, I do feel like it's that 10 of Cups that we saw there, then you are going to know intuitively which direction to go in, because it's following that, it's following your heart, it's following what makes you feel good. Because everything's about to change in the most dramatic way. What should I said Scorpio because I was staring at the death card. What should Sagittarius avoid this week, please? Absolutely. Avoid sitting and thinking about a decision that you have to make too hard. Like I said, everything is instinctive and intuitive for this week. That's the 10 of Cups at the bottom of the deck, right? This card I associate with people who sit and they need to make a decision and they're choosing not to make the decision for whatever reason, right? Usually because doesn't matter, it's irrelevant, because you need to not do that this week. Like I said, the only kind of internal work that you should be doing, we have the Hermit and we have the Four of Swords, is focusing on what true abundance and happiness feels like for you. What does it mean to you? What circumstances, what people are involved in that for you, right? What you have to give to the situation, right? Where does it feel good when you are giving to a particular situation? Do not sit and think too hard about whether you pick this thing or this thing. It's about going with the feeling, right? And this is the antithesis of going with the feeling. This card is all about using your mind and ignoring your feelings. So it has to be instinctive and intuitive for you, because that's where the magic is for you this week. Yeah, we've got the Queen of Swords and Seven of Swords. Like, do not get up in your head and be using your thinking type brain this week, Sagittarius. It's a really, really bad idea, right? Don't try and logic your way through things. Don't try and even necessarily follow what appears to be the most logical or rational choice. Go with your heart. Go with what your spirit is telling you is the right thing for you. Because if you start to think about things a little too much, you're going to tie yourself up in knots. That's just the simple fact of it this week. It's not a week for logic or reason. It's a week for intuitive bouncing. Wow. Okay. Right. I'm going to go to use the loo again. I shall be right back. Okay. Let's move on to Capricorn, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the 31st of May to the 6th of June. Can I have a theme for the week for Capricorn, please? Ooh, thank you. We have the 10 of Cups in reverse. And we have the Justice card at the bottom of the deck. Now, the Justice card deals for me with themes of karma, right? By which I mean consequences. And it feels like these are pretty strong here for you this week. I have done the Capricorn reading for June. I have to say, with the King of Wands underneath here, this is a time for you to actively engage with things this week, Capricorn, because it feels like your emotional environment, and by that I mean, you know, the people that are around you, dependent on you, close to you, it feels like there's some friction and there's some tension in there this week. Like, this is the week that it begins, I think, actually quite strongly. And it's not a week for burying your head in the sand about it. Oh, no, it's 10 of Cups in reverse. Yeah, we have got, yeah, like, this is very similar to the themes that were coming through in the monthly reading for you. There's an opportunity to make things better here. There's an opportunity to fix things, because these two cards together, they're not very comfortable, right? This card is in the reverse. This is, you know, emotional fulfillment of you and another, whether that is your, you know, spouse or partner, or whether, you know, really close friends or family, something like that. There's pain here and it needs to be addressed. Some of the pain is yours, Capricorn, but also some of the pain is it feels like perhaps some of your actions are being misinterpreted. This is an opportunity to fix that if you should choose to take it. And it is ultimately down to a choice. If you do nothing about it, you're choosing to do nothing about it. And we don't want that. We absolutely don't want that. So pay close attention this week. If somebody comes to you and somebody says something that makes you feel defensive, kind of stop for a second and consider where that person is coming from, but also consider what it is that you are actually reacting to, because I don't think it's going to be the thing that's directly in front of you. And the temptation will be to just say what you need to make it go away and then not deal with it any further. But it really does feel like June is a bit of a crunch month for you, and you alone, Capricorn, really are the one who has the ability to change the outcome or affect the outcome in whichever way. So let's look at love and interpersonal relationships, please, for Capricorn. We have the Knight of Wands. It's the card of Sagittarius. If you're dealing with the Sagittarius, then all's the good. But if not, like I said, it's this kind of opportunist presentation of an ability to be able to fix things. Like, there's an opportunity here for you if you choose to take it. Yeah, because I think we've got either somebody from, you know, that has been around you for a very long time. There you are at the bottom of the deck as the Devil. So, you know, by which I mean family or someone like that, something like that. Or the Six of Cups is soulmate energy. This is somebody who is around you, who is sharing your life with you. And it does feel like they are trying to speak to you about something this week, right? Coming in really strong, in fact. There is a huge opportunity here to not just reinvigorate, but cleanse this space. And not just the space between you, but the space inside of you too, Capricorn. Now, it feels like there's a kind of childlike energy about who is coming towards you. There's an innocence here. And I think that you should be aware that it takes a lot of bravery for this person to come and deliver what they have to say to you in the way that they do. And I think that that will not be your first instinct when you hear what they have to say. I think actually it's probably going to be quite shocking. And I think that you might not necessarily in the first instance respond in a way that is conducive to bringing the healing in. But if you can bring yourself to stop just a second and, like I said, consider what it is that they have to say, where they are coming from, and what this is bringing up in you, then you have an opportunity to bring some really beautiful energy into bear here, not just for you, but between you two. Not just between you, but for you too. We've got the Nine of Cups underneath the Devil card there, followed by the Hermit. What do you really want? I think what you would like is to be happy, but I think that you don't really know how to do that, Capricorn. And this week, it's kind of, your hand is being forced. You are being asked to look at it. But you're not being forced that much, actually, because you could choose to not do it. You can choose to do things the way that you've always done them. But the end result of that, I don't think is something that you want, right? Because we have got disruption here. We have got a lack of harmony here. And we've got somebody who is kind of, like I said, they've got this kind of childlike innocence about them. They are coming to you with something that is hard for them. And it's sort of on you to be the grown-up here in this situation, which is uncomfortable when we're talking about things from an emotional perspective. It feels like a week that's going to really push you out of your comfort zone and have you feeling well out of your depth. But ultimately, it's because it's asking you to consider what it is that you really, really want. Now, do you want happiness and contentment, or do you want future success? Do you want materialism? Do you want all of these things that the devil represents here? Because I don't think that this other person wants it. Not that. Anyway, what they want is you. What they want is that connection to you. And what has had you keeping them at arm's length is that which you have not wanted to look at, that which you have not wanted to examine. And it's actually nothing to do with the person in front of you. This is something that you have carried forwards from a much younger age. This is an opportunity to fix it, or start the process at least of fixing it. Tell me about work, money and material environment, please. Whoa, taking all of those, that's far too many. Tell me about work, money and material environment, Capricorn, please. We have the Strength card. Now, the Strength card does deal with elements of, you know, with notions of determination and endurance, and another word which I had and then lost again. But generally the Strength card comes up when there is either opportunity for growth, or you're really being asked to tap into that body of strength that you've managed to build up over the years from, you know, dealing with things that are difficult. That Strength card, please. This is interesting because we have the Ten of Swords and we have the Hierophant here, clarifying the Strength card. So work, money and materials feel like they're actually kind of difficult at the moment. In some way or another, we have got something coming to an end. It could be that work is really stressing you out at the moment, and you're just being asked to kind of keep it on a level. Remember that, you know, this too shall pass and all that sort of thing. You just got to kind of ride the wave with it a little bit. But it could also be that this week you realize just how much emphasis you have placed on structure and rigidity and things and stuff and security and stability. And as your eyes are opened up with the emotional stuff, excuse me, that is going on in your life, that you're actually kind of looking at it all differently. Now it looks like it's things that might in some ways hold you back. I feel like you're not traveling very light, Capricorn, which is not surprised because you're an earth sign and that isn't part of the thing here. But maybe part of what you need to look at is a fear of being poor, right? And this, although I have these as two distinct sections here, I do feel like this has a very close connection to the way that you show up emotionally in the world, right? We've got the Five of Pentacles there, we've got the Nine of Swords, and we've got the Two of Pentacles. The reasons why you have struggled so hard is because you're absolutely not wanting to ever be in a situation where your safety and security is compromised, or stability overall for you. And that would suggest to me that you have experienced it, and probably experienced it while you were very young, you know. And so in addition to the ways in which perhaps your emotions were invalidated when you were a child, and, you know, it was all about your achievement, perhaps to throw into the mix, you were poor, right? Maybe you were the first person to go to university. Maybe you were the first person to earn a job that to earn a job, earn a wage that was over, you know, minimum level for everyone, you know. And maybe there's an element of having become addicted to 3D security, 3D stability over everything else. There was a really amazing quote that I read the other day, and it's clean gone out of my mind, but I can feel it tapping on the back of my head. And it was, it's gone. It feels like it's got a really close connection to why it is that you are emotionally closed. It's almost like you've lost sight of the purpose of creating a secure, nurturing environment for those around you. Because that's how Capricorns show their affection, show their love. Like, I will provide for you, I'll work my absolute fucking tits off for you, I will do all of these things. It strikes me that this person isn't really as interested in that though as you thought they were, and actually they feel a little bit left behind because of your relentless movement forwards. It feels like your eyes are opening and your perspective is changing on that which you worked really, really hard to achieve, to the degree that you almost can't look at it the same way now. You know, the Hanged Man is underneath the Hanged Man is the Four of Cups. It's almost like what shifts in you, what changes in you this week is an understanding that it was covering your own abandonment as a child, right? Whether that was financial or emotional or whatever, you know. The reasons why you want to look after yourself so hard and why you want to materially look after so much the people that are around you. What should Capricorn focus on this week, please? Oh, shit. King of Wands, again, taking action. Action over everything. Capricorn, you cannot allow... This isn't going to sort itself out. And if you put your head in the sand and refuse to deal with it, I don't think that you're going to like the way that it goes. This is asking you specifically to take action, you to make a choice, and then you to come through with that, you know. Make good on what it is that you say that you will do. We have the World card. Oh, and the Nine of Pentacles. Yeah, I mean, the World card is bringing things to an end. It is completing something, and for you, I think it is leaving behind a cycle where you are more concerned about your material well-being than you are about your emotional. But it's also asking you to look at your life and see where you are putting all of your energy. Right? Where are your pentacles going? And I don't just mean money, I mean time and care and effort and all of these things. Anything that you can invest is a pentacle. And the Nine of Pentacles for me is about good resource management. Now, you probably got a very stable life for yourself, but where is the emotional bit? Where are the deep emotional relationships? And if they're there in front of you, are you tending to them in the best way that you possibly can? Are you speaking the same love language as the person that you're trying to share your life with? Do they understand that this is the way that you show your affection? You know, maybe if you've got kids, do they need you to just sit and spend a bit of time with them, you know? It's really challenging energy, but it's also really liberating and empowering because you have the ability to choose how this goes moving forwards. You've got the ability to start afresh, start anew, and look for different ways of investing your pentacles moving forwards. What about Capricorn should avoid, please? We've got the Mother of Pentacles in reverse. This is a Capricorn card. And usually it talks about self-care and self-worth and all of those things, which it would be interesting and useful for you to actually spend some time exploring anyway, Capricorn, like why it is that you don't like yourself very much. You know, I've yet to find a Capricorn that likes themselves. It's really hard. But in the wild unknown, There's a small deer here next to its mother, right? This is not a week for turning your back on those that are smaller than you. And I mean that in an energetic sense. Those people who are smaller than you, who depend on you, right? If, as I said before, that there was childlike quality to whoever was bringing you the news of how they felt this week. This is not a week for turning your back on that. It is a week for nurturing it as far as you are possibly able with the other stuff that you are kind of trying to work through yourself anyway. It's not a week for leaving people to fend for themselves emotionally. It's a week for you to really show your investment into them. Tell me about this. Make good on investment. We've got the Judgment card in reverse. What you should avoid this week is avoiding making decisions about things. Like it's gone so far now, Capricorn, that you are required to make a decision, and it is you who is the linchpin in all of this. You need to start exemplifying this here, and don't let everything just sort of happen. Yeah, Two of Pentacles in reverse as well, right? The Two of Pentacles is about finding your center. It's about juggling all of those pentacles. It's come out in the reverse. This is not you juggling it. This is you just dropping shit everywhere. And by dropping it, it's by going, you know, oh, I'm going to go and do this thing over here instead because this is easy, and what you're coming to me with here is hard and I don't want to look at it, you know. Where at all possible, you want to turn both of these upside down. You want to actively engage with all of this, not just making decisions, but trying to bring some sort of sense of equilibrium to your own internal space too. Really, really important. If you do feel triggered by something, if you do feel that defensiveness rising really, really fast, that's the point to stop. That's the point to examine what is going on. And make sure that you are reacting to the right thing and not something from the past. Hard week, Capricorn, but like I said, you are being gifted an opportunity, so don't lose it. Right, let's move on to Aquarius, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. Have a theme for the week for Aquarius, please. Thank you. We have the World card with the Fool at the bottom of the deck. This is a week where things are coming to an end. A major cycle in your life is coming to an end and a new one is beginning. They're almost kind of like fading in and fading out at the same time. Let's get some more information about what that could possibly be about. Tell me about this for Aquarius, please. Thank you. We have interesting. I actually want one more card for that. Tell me about that. Right. We've got the Two of Cups in the upright, the Moon in the reverse, and the Ace of Swords. It feels like something is coming to an end because something is being revealed. Now, this could be to do with a partner. It's certainly to do with someone else and your relationship with someone else. It isn't necessarily that the relationship is coming to an end. It could well be actually that this is the end of a particular cycle with this person in this way, and perhaps you're starting to commit to each other more deeply moving forward. So, you know, maybe you're moving in with each other, or, you know, maybe you've proposed, maybe they've proposed, something like that. But there is something that is coming to light here about a relationship. There is something that has been previously obscured and that you are seeing fully now. And this, it kind of feels like it's giving you an opportunity not only to fully comprehend exactly what is going on, but start this new cycle. Now, the other thing, the other way that I see the Two of Cups is intimacy And it could be that this week you have a real breakthrough in terms of why it is that intimacy can be very, very difficult for you. Right? With the moon in reverse, we have this definitely coming to the surface. This is no longer hidden. Right? We've got new insights coming. And it's the sort of thing that doesn't feel like you can stuff it back into a box once you've understood why it's there and what it's about. So whichever way round it is for you, we've got completion and then the beginning of a new cycle straight off the bat, right? Which is really good, actually. This could even be a business partner. It could be work colleagues. It could be anything like that. You want to take it as it resonates to you. It's what aspect of your life this refers to specifically. Can you tell me about love and interpersonal relationships, please, for Aquarius? We have the Ace of Swords with the Nine of Swords. So there's that Ace of Swords again. And the Nine of Swords. I think rather than this being something new that is coming up, that is making you stressed out, that is kind of putting you into this state of anxiety, I think it's understanding why, to the degree that you are able to bring it to an end, because an ace and a nine together make a 10, and that is completion there. And this reading seems to be full of that for you. We have the Ace of Swords and the Nine of Swords. We have the Ace of Pentacles. We have the Tower. And we have the Two of Swords in reverse, another card that speaks to me about really understanding, right? The Two of, oh, let's stretch my hip out a little bit. The Two of Swords is a card that speaks of ignoring your emotions, ignoring your intuition, right? Trying to make a purely intellectual decision and not using all of the information that is at your disposal to make it. And when it comes up in the reverse, this is about really knowing. Having consulted everything that it is right for you to consult, this is knowing the way forwards. It's no longer being stuck in an impasse. And this is very clear that this is what's going on here for you. So, you know, we have the moon in reverse. We have something coming to light. We have something being revealed. We have something being pulled down here. And it could be that it's a misapprehension, possibly, between you and another. Or it could just be that there wasn't enough information before. But whatever it is, the new is staring you right in the face now, because we've got the Fool, we've got the Ace of Swords, we've got the Ace of Swords, we've got the Ace of Pentacles here. It feels like this is tying up loose ends. It feels like it's something that allows you to lay things to rest so that you can turn and face your new start with everything that you have. Right? With no doubts, no lingering worries about anything, kind of sitting in the background there. Oh, gold, my back. Right. Tell me about work, money, and material environment. Not taking all of those, that's too many. Let's try again. Work, money, and material environment, please. Thank you. We have the Six of Wands for you. This is wonderful. So, success in something this month for you. Oh. Just having my neb out the window. Tell me about the Six of Wands. Why is this here for Aquarius? Right. Yeah, I think we're reaching a point of something breaking here. Something that's been very difficult, a situation, a work situation, a money situation, something like that, which has been very burdensome. This feels like the week where you're breaking the back of that, because we go from the Ten of Wands to the Nine of Pentacles. We go from a state of burden and things being very, very hard, but completing, to you being in this state of independence and self-sufficiency here, right? Putting all of your resources in the right place and getting the return from them that you want, particularly with the Six of Wands here, you know, indicating the success. It really feels like this is something's kind of breaking out. So whether it is that you've been, I don't know, maybe you've been unemployed for a while and it's been difficult to manage, like this could well be you getting a job. If you've been working all the hours God sends, you know, in overtime or something like that, to try and make ends meet. It feels like there's something that's kind of giving here a little bit, like you don't need to work quite so much, you don't need to put in so many hours, but it feels like whatever it is, it's actually transformative. We do have that butterfly at the top there, that symbol of transformation. It goes from pretty fucking difficult to pretty fucking good, pretty much like that for you this week. It's good. I like to see that. So, what should Aquarius focus on this week? Shit. Hey. We'll try that one again, shall we? What should Aquarius focus on this week, please? Thank you. We have the High Priestess. Huh. That's interesting. There's a lot of very dark cards appearing for you here, very feminine cards, very chaotic cards, but also very creative and intuitive cards. You know, I know the Tower is masculine. Obviously it's masculine, but that dark energy is still there in the background, you know. Tell me about the High Priestess. Yeah, we've got now the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Another ace. 2 Ace of Swords, 1 Ace of Pentacles, 1 Ace of Cups. There's so much new energy around you. With this High Priestess, trust your intuition this week, because I feel like it's talking to you, and it's talking to you very specifically about practical moves forwards next. Right, we've got the 10 of Pentacles, which is security and stability and all that kind of thing, but another card of completion. Right? Something is completing here. And then we have, you know, this Page of Pentacles who's picking up this ace and deciding how they're going to move with it. You've already had the ace. The opportunity is there. You know, the cycle runs from the ace to the 10 and then back again, except that here, instead of just being pure potential, we have you deciding what it is that you're going to do with this. It's how you're going to exploit this new opportunity, how you're actually going to create this new opportunity, something like that. This week, it's really about sitting with your life, really, looking at what is closing out and making sure that you're tidying up all the loose ends of that, and then starting to practically plan your route forwards. What needs to change in order for you to really settle onto this new path? You know, what about the way that you do things needs to change? About the way that you live, you know, maybe you've just been spending shitloads of money, and you've just realised that you're spending shitloads of money on something that you didn't need to, and you know, go and have a look, tidy up all your direct debits, and suddenly you're like 500 quid better off a month, and like all the drama's lifted, you know. Could be something as simple as that. But we've definitely got a planning stage here. Definitely. What should Aquarius avoid this week? Again. Right. We've got the 8 of Swords. I'm not sure why you would feel like that, but the 8 of Swords is about being stuck. It's about restriction. It's about feeling trapped. You're never more than a thought away from releasing yourself from whatever you feel trapped by, Aquarius. And I don't know who needs to hear that, but one of you does. It's all about your life, you know. Everything has consequences. When we say I can't do this, what we're actually saying is, well, I could totally do that, but the consequences are not ones that I am willing to put up with in order to get that done. That's what we really mean when we say we can't do something, you know. I think of many times in my life where I was just like, oh, I just don't have the time, I just can't do this and that. And what I'm actually saying is other things are more important, other things have priority, you know, all of these sorts of things. Even down to something stupid, so like, well, I can't go travelling, I can't travel the world because I've got, like, you know, I tell our kids at home that need me. What I'm saying is I can't leave the kids to go travelling, which is a perfectly reasonable position to take. But it's not what I said. And your words have weight, Aquarius. Not only that, your thoughts have weight. And it might be a good week to look at, you know, things that you just say off the cuff. Like, oh, I can't do that because, you know, I can't do that. I can't do that. Actually sit and make sure that those reasons are valid. You know, make sure that they're actually reasonable, because maybe you might be doing a bit of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I can see it in my head. I do the running. Hurdles. You know, I'd just be putting hurdles in your way that actually could be quite easily navigated if you wanted to. Maybe it's the hurdles that are stopping you, that have stopped you so far from embracing what all of this new stuff is. You're going to have to just jump over it. Yeah. The Eight of Swords is clarified by the Hanged Man and the Eight of Swords. Anything that you feel like you're trapped by at the moment, you're just not looking at it the right way, Aquarius. So this is not a week to submit to any sentence, whether it be thought or spoken aloud, that starts with I can't. Right? Just fucking eradicate that from your vocabulary this week, because it's bullshit. What you're saying is you haven't thought about it hard enough to come up with a way around it. That's what that is saying here. And you are keeping yourself trapped if you choose to do that. Look at everything from another perspective this week, because there's so much incredible opportunity here for you. And it's like fucking Six of Wands and Aces a million, the Fool, the World, even the Tower. The Tower's an incredibly good card in my opinion. It's course correction. It's taking you off down a different path. Where are you keeping yourself stuck? In your own head. Because it's probably in more places than you think it is. So get shot of that, and then get ready for all of this incredible new stuff that's all waiting to come in for you. Right. And finally, let us move to Pisces. So, Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. What's the theme for the week, please? We have the Nine of Pentacles. What a really good card to start off with right there. The Nine of Pentacles is about independence. It's about self-sufficiency, self-reliance, doing things for yourself. I really like it in the World Unknown as well, because we've just got the feathers surrounding the pentacles there. It's not like they're guarded by some, you know, great big wall or anything like that. This feels like really gentle, but very much there. Boundaries. I am marshalling my resources and I am choosing where they are going. It's like, feels like a plugging of energetic leaks. Actually, I've got a card in there that shouldn't be there. Where is it gone? There it is. Get in there. Fucking cards flying everywhere. That's two down there, two here. So you've got a lot to say here, Pisces. Yeah, it feels like you are making your own decisions this week. You are plugging up any energetic leaks and you are doing things for yourself. It's a very strong presentation of energy as a theme for the week. Tell me about this Nine of Pentacles, please. Thank you. We have the Eight of Cups. I'm not taking that one because it dropped. And we've got the Hierophant. There. I feel like you are walking away. This week, it feels like you are absolutely walking away from all that has been established. all that has formed part of the structure of your life, you're leaving it behind, as you always planned that you would, and as you have been fighting to do so, like for months now. This feels like it's a week where this really starts to occur now. Now, I think I'm fairly certain in the last reading that I did that there were small steps that you were taking to take this out of the realm of pipe dream or daydream or just something that you said that you were doing into something that now was actually happening, right? You could see it in the 3D. This feels like a step beyond this. This feels like you now separating away from, well, from all the structure, from all the rigidity, from all the order that actually doesn't suit Pisces very well. Never has done, you know? Tell me about love and relationships for Pisces, please. We have the Eight of Pentacles with the Ace of Cups here. There are people in your environment with whom it is worth maintaining a relationship, or even, you know, working at trying to bring it a little bit closer before you move away. Possibly, if you chose to do so. Fuck's sake. The cards are all over the shop for you. Let's try this again. Tell me about the Eight of Pentacles, please. Thank you. We have the Tower. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to spin that interpretation round on a sixpence, and I'm going to say, I think that this week it's about concentrating on you, everything to do with you. I actually don't feel a great deal of other souls around you, in so much as kind of interacting with you and what you are doing this week. It feels like you are very much nose to the grindstone with planning and working on the practical aspects of what you need to do to get yourself shifting. We've got the Tower and the Queen of Cups underneath here. The Tower here is your tower, and it has been your tower repeatedly as it's been showing up over the last couple of months in the readings. Like, you are bringing the Tower, you are bringing the instability, you are throwing everything around here because it's time, because this Tower needs to fall. And I think that you're actually incredibly comfortable with that, Pisces. Incredibly comfortable with it. And I just don't see anybody else really figuring here in this with you. You feel remarkably balanced about it, emotionally balanced about it. And it's almost like you can spare some compassion for other people and their upset, but it's not where your focus is this week, not at all. Like I've said, the Tower is course correction, and you are correcting your own course. And there's such a determination about this. I was going to say sort of bloody-minded, actually, really stubborn. And maybe that's true, but it is determined, and it is extremely focused this week. And I actually don't feel like other people play any role here in this for you this week. I just don't see them around you at all. It's almost like you're like, I'm really busy. I've got to go and do these things over here. I'll catch up with you next week. It'll be fine, right? I'm over here. Because this Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck here is actually the thing that you are trying to create for yourself. It is this new start. It is this. It's everything that you wanted. And will you fuck be deviated from that by anyone? Whew. Determined as fuck. Right, tell me about work and money and material environment. We have, ooh, too many cards again. That's fucking 6 there as well. Thank you. And we have the Four of Pentacles. We see you releasing a lot of things this week. Maybe you are clearing out. Maybe you are getting rid of stuff this week. The Four of Pentacles is that kind of miser, hoarding energy. Four of Pentacles in reverse is when you start to release things. It does feel like you are letting things go, but very deliberately. Perhaps you are starting to get rid of your possessions. Maybe you are focusing on trying to travel a little bit lighter than you are doing. Tell me about this. Yeah. We've got the Eight of Swords. We've got the Eight of Swords and the Fool. You're having a clear out, right, of all sorts of things, like old stuff for sure. But it feels like material things you are getting rid of now. The stuff that you don't need, the stuff that keeps you stuck and trapped where you are, the stuff that stops you from traveling light, like the Fool does here. He's got all of his possessions in a stick, in a handkerchief attached to a stick that he's just carrying around there, and he's just off, he's gone. This is you kind of lightening the load of what it is that you have got to take with you, because some of your material possessions look like they're would certainly stop you from moving quite so easily. That's wonderful. That's absolutely beautiful, Pisces. I really love that. And I love the Fool here, because the Fool is such a good symbol of the energy that I'm feeling here. Right, there is this determination, absolute determination, almost sort of dogged stubbornness here, but it's really pure as well. It's really, really pure. And it's almost like, everybody around you, Pisces, walks around looking at the floor. Right, they're always examining the floor, and you're going like, fuck this, and you're looking up at the sky, and so you're not distracted by the stuff that other people are distracted by. You're not even distracted by the other people, because you're kind of up there, This is good. This is where you should be. I like that. Tell me what Pisces should be focusing on this week, please. Ooh, the Star. With the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck, right? This is all about the future for you. It's the card of Aquarius, and it is that, sitting on the horizon. Your plans for the future are exactly where your mind should be, and that is, as far as I can tell, where it is. Tell me about the Star. Fucking hell. Ace of Wands again. It's moving away from a situation that has not met your needs, a situation where you do not meet your own basic needs while you're in it. Right? Planning for the future, living differently, living the way that you want to live here, leaving this in the past here. And, it's probably taken quite a long time for you to realise that you've been in that state. Because actually you've had so few needs, You certainly haven't expected anybody else to meet them, but you realise that what needs that you did have, that you were ignoring quite studiously for a long time, it's like moving away from those and deciding how it is that you will live differently in the future. Because this transition, whether it's a physical move or whatever, this is the first step of this. But beyond that, there needs to be a resolution to live in a different way, and I think that you've got that going on here. But keep it front and centre for this week particularly. What should Pisces avoid this week, please? We have Death. And we have the Moon. Which is an interesting combination, and one that speaks to, you can see half a dozen different ways of interpreting this. But we've got Scorpio and Cancer there. Your sister water signs there. I'm kind of half bamboozled because so many cards came out at once. I think this is speaking to the fact that you don't need to completely cut yourself off, Pisces. Like at the moment, you're very, very focused on what you're doing, and there's been an element of needing to, you know, be a little bit, well, fuck you to everyone, you know, in terms of their interferences in what it is that you're trying to do. But that doesn't need to be the way that it is forever. It's just the way that it is for now. So there will be a place for people in the new version of the Pisces life, provided that they pay attention to the ways in which you have changed. And I think that it's right that you should allow some space for them there. But I think that there's a temptation here to close yourself off altogether. And that's something that you want to be careful of. Just pull back a little bit from the brink there, Pisces. You don't have to lock down altogether and refuse to let anybody in ever again, or anybody into your space, or for anyone to have an opinion on your thing. It's just that now, like, what has been going on for you is so pivotal that it's required all of your focus. And it won't be giving up. It won't be, you know, doing it wrong if in future you let people in and you let people have an opinion of it and stuff, because you've grown now and you've got that solid base. You know, I actually don't want to fuck with Pisces at all at the moment, because you're so on your game, so on with what you are doing here. But just make sure that it's not a self-imposed isolation forever that you're kind of planning on. I hope that that makes sense. I've been sat here for hours now, so I'm kind of burbling a little bit. I'm sorry about that, Pisces, but I think you know what I mean. So, know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.